The countdown is on as we float towards day 3 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable All Systems Go event. Enjoy 0 Gs as we breeze through the cosmos. Here to launch our journey is our intergalactic host, Katrina Ness.
Good morning, I'm Katrina Ness from Northwood University. Count your constellations and seize the stars as we hop into light speed towards day 3 of our 4-day event. This event is an Ursa major deal, so take a big dipper as we begin another day at the Fixed Ops Roundtable All Systems Go event. Mission Control. Simply navigate to the right side of your screen to interact with our intergalactic chat. Just be sure to select everyone and not just hosts and panelists. Strap on your seatbelt for the Tariff Turbulence panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Lots of discussion in the industry right now about breaking down when and how and why tariffs may or may not be felt by consumers. And the consumers are looking for certainty. So to bring together our industry, we thought we would chat today with the experts. Skyler Chadwick of Cox Automotive is here. Cox is hosting this panel. And also want to welcome Ed Roberts of Bozard Lincoln and Tully Williams on the West Coast at the Niello Company. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Ed, let me start with you. What are you seeing out there? And, how are you making the most of this noise, if you will, that we mentioned in the green room a little bit earlier?
Well, I love noise in our industry because it gives us something to leverage and something for us to get our teams focused. And there's been a lot of noise this year so far with different things. Is it going to come into play? Is it not going to come into play? And whatever else. Well, I'll take it because it's something to leverage. And then in addition to having that something to leverage and focus your team, we got to be able to give our teams answers to be able to deliver to our customers, because our customers hear that noise and it creates questions. And when they have the questions, if we give them opinionated answers, then we don't know which direction we're pulling them because we don't know where they stand on those things. So we got to be very unopinionated, but give them an answer that drives them towards the comfortability of we're all going to be okay. And we are. It's just bumps in the road that we're going to get through. And whether we all win from it, whether we don't win, whatever it may be, we're still going to be fine. We're resilient and we will overcome whatever obstacle gets thrown at us.
Ed, Bozard is a very large Ford and Lincoln point. From what I understand, one of the top 10 in the country. In St. Augustine, Florida, Ford Motor Company has stepped up with a program to help consumers with this buying program over the next 60 days. Talk to us about that, because do programs like that help build confidence with the consumer?
Well, it gives us something to talk about. So maybe some of the other stores don't create that focus with their team. So Ford put something out there that allows all our dealers to have that focus, and that every vehicle on our lot is not affected by tariffs, and every part that we have in our parts department is not affected by tariffs. So now is the time to do whatever needs to be done. So it really gave everybody a talking point and built that level of confidence to build off the noise. But when you say that it's for America or from America for America, that really pinpoints our people back to, okay, yes, we are taking care of ourselves. So it's the tagline that goes along with it that really builds some confidence.
Tully, your messaging is going to be entirely different with 10 European luxury models out on the West Coast. Speak to us about your strategy.
Our strategy is, similar to Ed. It's all forward. We're not saying this is bad news, right? The good thing about dealerships and our community is we adapt quickly. We have gone through a lot of changes in our lives. I mean, you look at the last couple of years, we've had some major hits for us, and we just adapt and move forward. Talk about the positives of everything, right? Right now, might be an urgency to maybe buy a car sooner than later or part. The issue is that and manufacturers don't know what to do yet, right? They're going to guarantee our pricing for a while. But you know what? It's all up in the air. And I love how Ed said it. You got to be neutral. You can't be one side or the other. It doesn't work. You don't want to alienate anybody. And you also don't, your employees are worried. They got, we have 782 families that we love to death that we want to go home happy and feel secure. So our thing is full speed forward, what we can do to help you and make sure that this is not a bad news. This is a blip. Be positive, move forward, make good of it.
And let me add to that just a bit, because we typically only talk about it from the consumer standpoint. We talk about it from our customer standpoint. Well, our employees are in the same boat. They are drawing conclusions in their mind. They're going home and hearing those same noises and whatever else. So when we help them talk to our consumers, we're also helping them put their family at ease and settling all the noises out there as well. So it isn't just that we're taking care of our consumers, we're taking care of our employees and their families, because the same noise is across the board.
Amen, Ed. Amen.
Skyler, what great perspective from these two retailers. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I say business as usual. Tackle the roadblocks as they come. And I said this yesterday, and I think it's super important. I think of automotive and dealerships in themselves. We're entrepreneurs. That's who we are. Entrepreneurs figure out a ways to get over these bumps and these hurdles. I think to add on to Ed's comment earlier, it's also about providing the right tools to our employees, making sure that they're confident that they can do their job, making sure that they can, as an advisor, as a technician, it's all about the hours. I'm reading Tully's headline right there. It's all about the hours. Well, guess what? You've got to provide the right tools to be able to provide the right necessities. And those right tools create customer quality experience.
Amen.
So tools can help you create a better quality experience inside the dealership, but it can also create a quality experience for the customer. And as our good friend here, Tully, says, CSI stands for Customer Supplies Income. And so I think personally, I think what I've been telling dealerships is become transparent. And the same thing comes with our dealership staff. We've got to become transparent in the world we live in today. And those things are like pictures, videos, right? Tell the customer the story. Allow that advisor to escape those difficult conversations that we're going to be having maybe in the next couple of weeks or months, right? But we got to provide the right necessary tools to be able to do their jobs and help them feel confident to be able to overcome those things and act as entrepreneurs so that they can overcome these objections. And that's what entrepreneurs do.
Tully, if the technician tells me in that MPI video that my vehicle needs brakes, needs tires, tariff or no tariff, I'm going to make sure my family's safe.
Correct. And if there's a price hike, I'm gonna say if there is a price hike, it's okay, right? It is what it is, right? Oh, we upset the parts went up. Yes, we are. But the point of it is that we will be transparent. But here's the deal. The customer needs the brakes. Brakes drives retention. We are in the repeat and referral business. Please don't let this get shadowed. Push it all away. Get back and take care of your customer. Take care of your employees. It will be okay. Yes, will we have to manage our inventory better? Of course we do. But you should be managing your inventory better anyways, right? Used cars is going to be great. That's great for the fixed ops department. God bless America. There's a lot of good that's coming out. Yes, I don't think tariffs are good, but here's the deal. We move forward. We're going to make it happen. We're going to make our employees happy. We want our customers to come in and want to get those brakes, batteries, and tires and maintenance done. That drives retention. That's the key issue here.
Ed, there's been some deadlines that have been put out there with tariffs. Some have passed. Some may still be ahead of us. Your thoughts on that? Because it seems that today or tomorrow there could be a different deadline with a different tariff.
I'm good with it. It keeps it fresh, and it keeps us constantly developing our people and constantly developing the answers that they need to help our consumers. And really, that's what it circles back to, is the development phase. We tell people that you have to do this, but we don't develop them on how to do that. And then we beat them over the head when they don't do a good job with it. Well, we have to provide those tools. And when there's this constant fluctuation of the dates changing and whatever else, it keeps it fresh. So we're constantly redeveloping. What we're really doing is retraining our people every single day that here's what's the latest. Here's what's the latest. Here's what's the latest. Here's what you can. So it's just keeping it fresh, keeping them engaged with what's current and what the actual is. As far as the hikes, it is what it is. We've all went through it. We've all went through inflation. Every one of us has got a little vintage behind us, and things has went up over our lifetime. And sometimes it goes up gradually, and sometimes it goes up in a hurry. And that's where we're at right now, is how gradual or how much of a hurry is it going to be? But it's nothing that we're not used to.
And I see dealers like yourself and Tully, Tully, who are preparing and have stocked up on inventory. Your thoughts on that? I imagine you did some of the same. Your thoughts?
Yes, obviously, when these things take place, you want to capitalize on it, because we know that there's going to be some spikes that happens with different things. So if you're in position, yes, bring in the inventory that your fastest moving stuff. If you sell 100 of these a month, bring in 500 of them. It's okay to carry that a little bit. If you typically run 60 days of inventory, maybe you need to try to find a way to move to 70 days of inventory or whatever is comfortable. But yes, capitalize on it, because that will turn into profitability. But you have to be smart with those decisions. You don't want to necessarily stock up on some of the slower moving items. So it is a calculated risk, but it's a risk worth calculating.
Tully, I had to cut you off. Apologize.
I think Ed mentioned about keeping their employees updated and what's happening is so crucial. A lot of times what happens is that, we sit in the ivory tower and we assume everybody knows everything. And I'm telling you, nobody knows anything. And the issue is that we have to go out there and make sure that we tell our employees what's happening. We want to tell our employees what we're doing. They don't need the details. They just need to know that we're caring about them, that we are taking this seriously. And here's what we can do about it. And everything's okay. Everything is okay.
That's exactly it. There's fear. And when we communicate with them, we lower that level of fear down for everybody.
Yeah.
Skyler, this is great to hear.
It is good to hear. And, I truly think we'll get through this. I truly do. And we'll be on top. And I think everybody, we're talking about, parts and those types of things. Make adjustments now, right? Make the actions today. Don't make the actions tomorrow. look at your data, see what your customers are saying about your flow and those types of things, and make those adjustments today, right? And I think that's the biggest thing is staying on top. And I think when we lose sight is when we're not on top of our game. And I think that what's happening now is it's going to make a revolution of dealerships making better decisions and better processes and staying on top and making sure that you have the right tools to succeed as well. You know, as Cox Automotive, we're a software business and we're an automotive expert. And I think it's super important that dealerships truly find the right partnership that's going to truly help them succeed. And I think it's really key on them making the decision. And I think also too, we got to look at how our tools, I think sometimes we look at our tools and say, I think people only use 60% of what the tool's capability is anyways. And this is the time to look at and say, what's the other 40% of my capability with this tool that could help me get through these hard times? And I think that's the biggest thing that I focus on every day and harp on dealerships is like, when I talk to them, I'm like, oh, did you know about this? Oh, I had no idea that this tool could do this. It's so key in get to know what your product is doing. Get your people to start gravitating towards using the tool to its fullest extent and becoming educated. I think that's the biggest key here as well.
Well said. Tully and then Ed to bring it home with the final word. Tully, and I know you're a big client of Cox Automotive as well.
Yeah, you know, processes are a big deal, and then you know the whole thing of it is that the mindset. Do you believe in the processes? And here's the deal: your employees don't, but we have to get them to realize, wow, that is a great idea. And if now they believe in it, it's not a process anymore; it's the procedure they do every day. You know, and that comes early. That's a lot of education. That's a lot of one-on-ones. That's what we do for a living. So yeah, are you utilizing your software 100%? When we go into times that are challenged, processes and software should be maximized at 100%. Are you using everything to make the customer easy to say yes? That's all we want. We want to sell recommendations. We sell our family members. I want to show them pictures and video of it. And I want them to use their button to say yes. And I want to keep my technicians fed, rich, and happy every day. That's all I want. And at the end, the customer comes back. Oh my God, God bless America.
Ed, I'll give you the last word. You've got that special superpower. I know it's written on the window outside your office there. Speak to us if you would.
The ability to stay calm is a superpower. That's what's written on my window, and that is reality, and our people need that. But Skyler hit it on the head. And maybe he stretched it a little bit and said we use 60% because a lot of times we don't even use 20 or 30 or 40% of what our stuff's capable of.
I was just being generous. Sorry.
Yes, you are. And the reality is we're all looking for efficiency. That's why we want to go train our people and give them the answers so that they can have them instantly rather than go find them. That's efficiency. When we can use the tools that we have in front of us and be efficient at it and use them for what they're designed for, it makes us all more efficient. And then it knocks down and make one more efficient. We're also building confidence. And then we're lowering that risk as we bring additional things in to prepare for whatever may be happening, going on out in the industry or whatever else. But guys, the industry is responding. Tully's got a lot of European brands. A lot of them have stated we're going to hold the price right here. With our manufacturer, they're saying, hey, we're going to go the other way. We're going to give you a better deal during this time because we don't know what it's going to be. But all of that is to say is a raised level of confidence. Well, if we raise confidence with our consumers, they're going to come see us. And if they come see us, we need to make sure that we can take care of them. So if we have a surge, we have to be efficient. And in order to be efficient, we need to use the tools that we have and make them effective for us.
I'll quote Ed Roberts one more time. What is it, Ed? The ability to stay calm
is a superpower.
I love that.
I love that.
We'll leave it there. All right. Skyler, Chadwick at Cox Automotive, thank you so much for all you and Cox Auto does for the industry with some great brands and great tools. Tully Williams out at the Niello company, thank you for all you do. And Ed Roberts, thank you for helping us to stay calm during this time and and learn about that superpower. It truly is. So,
thank you.
All right. The Cox Automotive panel with Skyler, Tully, and Ed here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Unlock the industry's most comprehensive service technology platform. Xtime delivers a simple, fully transparent digital experience for both consumers and dealers. Get approvals on additional service recommendations in as fast as 7 minutes and earn 46% more dollars per repair order with Xtime. Dealerships and OEMs have long relied on Xtime's leading position in service scheduling, multi-point inspections, service marketing, and the consumer check-in experience. Drive revenue and profitability with our proven service technology that enhances the service experience from start to finish. Gain consumer confidence and elevate the staff experience with solutions that drive convenience and speed. Set the tone for the ultimate service experience with Xtime Schedule. Maximize your team's productivity and keep customers coming back with convenient online scheduling features and robust shop capacity management with Schedule. Grow fixed operations with every appointment using Xtime Engage, creating superior personalized experiences for your customers. Boost efficiency and profit with seamless check-ins, convenient status updates, and fast checkouts. And avoid frustrating bottlenecks with connected data from back-office processes to fixed ops. Improve your service department throughput and yield with Xtime Inspect, a fully integrated digital multi-point inspection tool. Obtain faster ASR approvals and higher profits, increasing RO value, instilling confidence in customers, and improving staff productivity with enhanced time-saving technician processes. Generate the demand you need at the right time from the right audience with Xtime Invite. Maximize revenue potential with multi-channel marketing capabilities through AI and service automations that drive performance marketing, precision targeting, and personalized outreach. A more profitable service experience requires a better service platform. Xtime gives you the comprehensive tools you need to enhance every communication touchpoint, resulting in satisfied customers and dealership staff to ensure ROI and increase likelihood of repeat business. Xtime is a part of a powerful ecosystem of retail solutions from Cox Automotive. Power on Retail 360.
Live life on the Parts Edge with Kaylee, Felio, and her crew.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here today with Kaylee Felio of PartsEdge, and we have some very special guests with us, Ted.
Sarah, you're absolutely right. We want to welcome Kaylee Felio, the Sales and Marketing Manager at PartsEdge, back to the Roundtable. Kaylee, welcome. And you've brought along some colleagues and some clients, and I've heard they got some great things to say about PartsEdge.
Yeah, thank you. I'm finally bringing in some people to talk about PartsEdge. I feel like I've been on the roundtable a lot, and it's been really cool to bring parts to light, because I see the conversation shifting, and there's more attention on it, and I'm just going to keep on pushing for that.
A lot, and you've got a great wealth of talent here. Please tell us about Ryan and Chris and how they came about to be clients.
Me, or you want them to talk about it?
Well, Kaylee, why don't you introduce Ryan, and then I'll let Ryan go from there, and then the same with Chris.
Yeah, because I believe Ryan, the ID, they joined before I was even with PartsEdge, so it's been since 2001. But Ryan, do you want to share a little bit about that? Because I think PartsEdge was already brought in, and then
Yeah, so Ryan, LC, the ID Auto Group, we've been, like Kaylee just said, since 2001, working with PartsEdge. So I actually started with them in 2002 as a technician, kind of worked up the ranks. I did some service advising, service manager. So when I was offered the fixed operations director role, I didn't have a parts background. So being able to work with PartsEdge and the knowledge that I was able to learn with that tool was very instrumental in my success. I've been doing it 5 years now. Couldn't imagine doing my job without their help. So it's been a good partnership for sure.
Thank you. And you guys have grown a lot too, I think, in the last few years, going from
We've added
a
a few stores.
handful. Yeah, just a few.
Ryan, can I ask what do you have there in terms of nameplates?
We have Ford, Chevy, Subaru, Kia, and then we got 3 Chrysler stores as well. So,
okay.
So we got
And
a
you like-
little bit of everything.
And you have PartsEdge working with you with all the various brands?
Yeah, you bet. Yep.
Okay.
And Chris. Okay, Chris, I already kind of mentioned that we're in newer relationship. But yeah, Chris is a client and fixed ops director. Do you want to talk about a little bit of what we're doing with you, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are partnering as a whole with our General Motors stores right now. I will tell you this, just from the experience we've received, PartsEdge has a wealth of knowledge. I know in a lot of brands, but they seem to really be experts at the General Motors brand for sure. So that's what we're starting out our partnership with. And I will tell you that I've known Kaylee for a long time. She jokes because it took me a long time to land the plane over our PartsEdge conversations. But the reality is that they are an extreme partner, from giving a high level view. And, really when you start to get them on board, you will start to see the layers that can be pulled back. And there's a lot of things that go on in the parts department. And what I tell everybody is, you don't know what you don't know, and the thing that PartsEdge can give you is that high level view of things that you haven't had the chance to watch, the ability, and quite honestly, the time. You really don't understand the time investment that it takes in parts to be extremely successful. And I was having parts, not to go on, but I was having a parts inventory done this year. And I asked the question, I said, hey, across the nation, what is a very well-run parts department running in variance at the end of a count? And they said 2.5% to 5%. If you're in that range, either up or down, you're running a great parts department. And so I went to my team and I said, guys, this is exactly where we've got to be. And I know PartsEdge is a massive partner in that, to make sure that we obtain being a high performing parts department across the board.
Thank you, Chris. We don't pay him too, by the way.
That's great news. And Chris, your group is very well respected as you are in the industry. And I've heard that once you become a PartsEdge client, as evidenced with Ryan, you stay a PartsEdge client. So congratulations to you. And Kaylee, congratulations to you as well. Give us a little insight into, or help us get some insight from some of these folks as to what they're experiencing out in the retail world.
Yeah, I think I want to ask about just kind of what were you experiencing before implementing a service like PartsEdge? I know, Ryan, it's been a long time, but just kind of, I want to point out, like, what is the cost of not using a service like PartsEdge? Because I think we look at parts departments and they tend to be profitable for the most part, but what if it could be so much more, is my whole point, when you can be more efficient. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but.
Sure. And I think Chris kind of talked about it, is just the time. We expect the parts managers to wear a lot of different hats. And if they're spending, 2 hours trying to get the information, that they can make one phone call or start a case on your portal at PartsEdge, and you can have that report, immediately. The biggest thing, I guess, that I see an improvement is there's 2 things: obsolescence. There's great reports that they can give us. Technical obsolescence, I know on average what I have to set aside in scrap money to get my obsolescence back in line where it needs to be. So staying proactive on that. And then also just keeping our gross profit percentages where they need to be. Could I look it up? Yeah, I could spend 3 hours trying to figure out why I'm low in this area, or I can call PartsEdge or start a case there, and they can have a report right away. Here's your top 10 parts, so they're bringing your gross profit down. And then I can go find out, hey, why are we selling these parts at that? So just little things like that. And every day something comes up, with the DMS or manufacturer changes, this or that, I can call them and they got some great input, and it's just a great tool to have. So.
Yeah. I was on mute. Sorry. Chris, do you have anything to add on that question? Just, what the cost is to not do something like this?
Sure. I think that, you've got to have a partner in strategy. And I think that you can get, let's just say you've got a fixed ops director and the parts manager. You can talk through strategies, but you really have to rely on the reporting of your DMS, in which, sometimes that can be an absolute challenge. And sometimes you're hoping that you are selecting the right options because there's 50 of them, 50 different ways to run a report in DMSs, depending on which one you have. And if anybody was at NADA this year, it seems like there are more options coming out. So you're relying on your partner of just the data background, that DMS layer. And I would rather be with a company such as PartsEdge to know for sure. I will tell you this, I've asked several times for reports as far as, hey, can you do me a favor and run me a obsolescence reports of anything that is sitting $10 or under on the obsolescence reports, because I want to get that off of my shelf. That's not something that's going to be worth my time to even wholesale. It's not something that's going to be worth my time. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. Give me that report. Let me segment it and let me just figure that piece out really quick to get that off the books. And then I'm going to start to really strategize on what are the little pieces I can put together to start to chisel away at this, because many times it can be just a huge endeavor. And, there are many people out there that don't understand how high and low the business and inventory can go until you experience it. There are those that I've heard in the last month, those that are taken $200,000 losses on obsolescence because they've let it go too long. I heard of another one where they hadn't sent back a return in over 50 years of being in business. They haven't sent back any return back to the manufacturer. You got to think, there's over 18,000 dealerships in the country, right? So, there's all parts departments out there that are dealing with struggles that will just blow your mind, because if you're not watching it, that's just it. You're not watching it. You could talk anywhere from bulk oil to nuts and bolts. If you don't have a process for it, it'll get out of control. And you've got to have somebody that can dive in and really tell you what you have.
And
Yep,
Sarah,
thing-
I know you. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to piggyback on that a little bit. The other thing that I was thinking about when Chris was talking there is that a lot of times you're in the day-to-day business and you're looking at your stuff from one way, from one DMS. I've only known ID. Well, when you work with PartsEdge, they've seen a lot of other dealerships, so they got a whole new perspective, and maybe they can even get you looking at something a different way that you never thought of. A report that you never even thought existed. So I just wanted to mention that too. It's good to get that other viewpoint.
Yeah. Hey, to Ryan's point, there was actually in our partnership, and I'll just say that's why I say, General Motors export, there was a portion we were trying to figure out what to do with a segment of our inventory. And they knew about a program with General Motors that we had, honestly, the minds that were in the room had no idea. And that alone saved us thousands of dollars.
Kaylee, you're finding profit opportunities, and you're finding efficiencies for these dealers as well.
Yeah. And I do want to point out too, it's not just for a new parts manager. We have some very seasoned parts managers that utilize our service because, it's a different type of service when it's a seasoned parts manager or a new parts manager. A new parts manager is going to need a little bit more consulting, more support. Seasoned parts manager is going to use it as it is and as a resource, a time savings, and just really utilizing us the best that they can as a tool, an assistant. I don't know how else to say it, but I did want to make sure that's known too.
And I was going to call out just a bit earlier, Sarah, I've heard you talking a lot about parts more and more, it seems, in the last year. And I see the inquiries coming in. Dealers are looking for help on the parts side, it seems.
You're so right, Ted. It's been incredible to see just the spotlight on the parts department and also the customer experience with the parts department. No longer are we seeing, the interaction where the parts counter person is just talking to maybe a handful of people walking up to buy some things in the showroom. Now they're having impacts in their business, internationally in some cases. And so it's really incredible just to see the focus and the ability for parts managers to take center stage in their dealerships.
Kaylee, we had a chance to spend some time with Tully recently, and he reminded us that parts sells hours. Tully says it's all about the hours, but really his people tell us it starts with the parts. And a lot of things happening in parts right now, Kaylee. A lot of technologies coming in, a lot of new focus on it. So the work you're doing with groups like Chris and Ryan's group is very important.
Thank you.
All right. Kaylee, if our audience wants to get more information, where do they, where do you start? Like, what's the beginning? How do we reach out, and are you available to answer questions? And is that something you would do?
Yeah, I mean, that's my job. So go to the partsedge.com. There's a calendar on there. Send us a message. Happy to talk to anyone, brainstorm ideas. I talk to hundreds of dealerships all the time and just can share what they're doing, what's working. And you don't necessarily have to be a client to talk about strategy. So yeah, I'm happy to talk to anyone. And we also have resources. We do monthly webinars. We have ebooks. We're constantly putting out content and information to help support the community and bring more awareness to how important parts are.
Chris and Ryan, do you want to have the last word for your peers who are watching today? A quick lightning round, anything you want to recommend to them? Chris first and then Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it took Kaylee over a year to push me into landing the plane. So my final word is, if you're on the edge, no pun intended, just do it. Just land the plane and do it. I promise you, you will not regret it.
Yeah. And, it took me about a year and a half, but it also took you a year, because I was following up and I was doing, I couldn't just force you.
She gave up on me for a half a second. Though, I will say.
Oh, I showed him his life cycle. I was like, you were marked as dead for a little bit.
She did. All right.
And Ryan,
I would just say, don't be afraid to ask for the help. Put your pride aside. You can just keep swimming and struggling every day and probably get by. But I always live by the motto, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, you probably get the same results. So,
yeah, 100%.
All right.
Thank
Great
you.
news. Ryan and Chris, thank you so much for all you do for the industry. Kaylee, Felio, congratulations. And audience, if you want to learn more, of course, Kaylee Felio, you see her email scrolling at the bottom, partsedge.com, and she's all over social media and the face of parts. So Kaylee, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Everybody, the PartsEdge panel here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Awesome.
Obsessed with creating the perfect inventory? Us too. PartsEdge gives you the tools you need to outpace the competition and provide the highest level of service to your customers. PartsEdge is a powerful tool for parts managers to get the job done faster. Imagine what it was like when the impact wrench arrived. It made mechanics 3 times faster. Getting the job done without the latest technology makes it difficult to keep up. Besides all the other responsibilities you have, you work hard to have all the right parts you need when you need them. PartsEdge was designed by parts people for parts people to make that job a lot easier. PartsEdge saves you 4 to 6 hours every week and can increase your sales by 10 to 20% in just 12 months. Not bad for your bottom line. Take your obsession to perfection with PartsEdge. Call us today to find out what PartsEdge can do for you.
The business model of Automotive Warranty Network has always been to provide the very best service we can to automotive dealerships. We believe very much in partnerships, so we partner with dealerships to help them process their warranty repair orders the best they can, but also stay compliant with a manufacturer policy and procedure.
Dealerships, some of them don't understand the importance of the supporting documentation. The repairs are performed, manufacturer is going to come in and audit them. That supporting documentation needs to stand up in an audit. If not, those monies will be charged back to the dealership. So, important thing that our team provides the dealerships is the information where the supporting documentation does not support the repairs performed, where they could lose those monies in an audit.
Audits are not scary. Audits are actually a fantastic learning experiences. I'm a big proponent for audits. I am not perfect. I do not think anybody is perfect. AI isn't even perfect. It is such a learning experience, and manufacturers are looking for things differently every year, and it keeps us on our toes. Then I know that I could take that information that I gather and provide it to my other dealerships and say, hey, we need to stay on top of these things.
We offer full warranty administration services from beginning to end, from reviewing technician comments and punch times, looking up and applying labor operations and times in the DMS, and transmitting to the manufacturer for payment. We then follow up on claims daily and account for any differences in payment.
SWAT stands for Specialized Warranty Assistance Team. We provide coverage for admins who could be taking vacation, if there's family medical leave, bereavement, sick time. So we provide coverage so that there's no hiccup between the admin being out and the dealer having their work processed.
We developed an application called CARS, which stands for Claim Accountability and Reporting System, which is a reporting tool that we use to help dealerships improve in their processes. So it's a tool that we use to identify how frequently compliance issues are happening in a dealership. And we can tell dealerships how frequently those problems are happening, which of their staff members is happening with. And then we also offer training to help educate those particular staff members on the types of issues that they're having and help them improve.
I think the biggest thing I love about this company is the owners. David and Jamie, they care about us. They encourage us to do training. They encourage us to make sure that we're master certified in our car lines.
When I started with AWN, we had 30 employees and about 167 clients. Currently, year to date, we're at 1,500 clients and 340 employees and growing. It's pretty amazing. The people that are with us, our clients, we love them. It's a pretty amazing place to be right now.
Ride the speeding comet that is Cars Commerce with our next speaker, Brian Kramer.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings and Brian Kramer, EVP of Dealer Growth and Success from Cars Commerce. Welcome today, Brian.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Ted, there's a lot of conversation in the industry around vehicle acquisition and all things used cars. So I'm excited to hear from Brian today.
Brian, this is kind of your moment, okay, with all that's happening in the industry and all the things you're preparing and working on at Cars Commerce. What do you see happening out there in the real world with dealers and with all the things that are swirling right now?
Well, I think there's two different worlds that everybody needs to live in. In the one world, everybody needs to define what they can control today, right? And not worry too much about the noise and all the media. And I would actually avoid watching the news at all because every single day it's all alarmist. And there's enough things that you can control that will distract you from all the things that you can't control. And until that moment comes, but what you can do is you can prep for what vehicles do you have in your lineup that are American made, which vehicles are going to be affected, first of all, in sales, because you don't want to, if you're selling the vehicle itself, you don't want to ease up off the throttle and not put the hammer down. It's a great time to grab market share for sales and service. Maybe the best time since the Great Recession, I would say. So making sure you know which ones to get aggressive on, and then which ones obviously that the supply is going to dry up, because I see a lot of dealers that are, hey, just sell them all without being strategic about it. And there's no backfill coming on some of these vehicles, especially, some of the European cars. But I mean, it's a mixed bag all over the place. But then we transition over to service. So now on the downstream, if I just put my retail hat back on and I sit there and I think, okay, an average month, I'm going to try to sell 250, 300 used cars. And I'm going to figure out that 50% of those are going to be certified. So let's say that I'm at 100 to 150 certified vehicles. What's the mix of that? Well, in my case, it'd be, I'm just going off memory, 65 to 75 RAV4s. We'd have like 40 Highlanders and like 30 Camrys. But I knew those were all going to be, less than most case 5 years old, the bulk of them. So on those specific models, I would already determine what's my, for me, I didn't want to put Michelins on every CPO car. I could put Saliums or Dunlops and cut the cost in half without cutting my labor margin. So I was strategic about everything I did on recon and make sure we had those parts in stock at all times, because I knew, just like an allocation, this is what we do every single month, right? It's pretty much because I've got a sourcing strategy that reflects it. But so on those parts, those tires, do you have a tire that's made in the US? Do you have tires that are made overseas? Are your tire prices going to go up 25%? Which leads me to the third thing. And the third thing is, if I was going to go back into retail today, that everybody's talking about, well, you got to be really disciplined as you're acquiring cars. You want to acquire cars for consumers. That's the price of admission today. Everybody, if you're acquiring more than half your inventory at an auction, your PVR is painful right now. And your aging is, because that's just what cars from the auctions do. They typically take at least 18 days longer to sell, and they sell for, last study that I saw was $583. But I've also 6 months ago saw one that was $1,800 less on auction sourced vehicles versus consumer sourced vehicles, because the day supply is lower. They're more desirable. They're more scarce. Typically don't have a bad vehicle history report, things like that. And now you can't control the market and the economy and what the administration is going to do. But what you can control is you can control your appraisal process. And I think that's something the whole industry has gotten away from. And this thing comes down like an avalanche, snowball, and heads right into the service department. And what happens is everybody eyeballs it. Hey, all those tires, when you're talking about a 20 or 21-inch wheel that has, a 45 series tire on it, or run flats, and it's got inner tire wear, or they're cupped, and nobody's measuring that with the tread depth gauge. And they're like, well, how much could tires be? $200-300 a piece. When in actuality, they're $500 or $600 on those cars.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of EVs and just a lot of regular cars that have those kind of tires, right? Mm-hmm. So now you got a $400 or $500 tire times 125%. Now you're talking 600 and something times 4. And now what's the cost that goes up? Not to mention the fact of, if you're not putting an OBD2 device in, like we have with AccuTrade that integrates into the appraisal, transmissions, from what I've just heard, there's virtually no transmissions that are cast in the United States for final assembly. So most are Canadian or made in Mexico or overseas. So if you have a transmission, they're already expensive, but now triple or quadruple the cost of the transmission with the tariff and all the other things that are going along with it. As Chinese parts become less available, now OEM pricing doesn't have to be as aggressive to compete with that. So it naturally, floats up, in my opinion. So what you can control, to sum all that up, is, did you go out there and stick the tires? Did you scan it with an OBD? Did you take all the pictures of all the dents, the cosmetics? Do you have an accurate way, like we do with AccuTrade, to be able to monetize and say that dent, to pull that panel, or the ADAS windshield on a Range Rover that's $5,800, and most people deduct $800 is what we see. They go, maybe I'll go $1,200 because it's a Range Rover, not realizing all the technology in it.
Right.
And then when it goes to the service department, we see on average a $1,500 variance. $1,500 variance between what was estimated on the walk around appraisal and the MPI in the service department. And when you take the two of those together, what happens to the service department? You know better than anybody, Ted. They're sitting there going, hey, Ted, I really need your help on this one, man. And why do they need your help? And they need you to cut your parts pricing, your labor rate, and do all these other things because I can't afford to pay door rate. Why? Because we didn't just walk around the car and the customer would have participated in it.
Brian, I want to unpack that a little bit further because, another thing that has been, historically very challenging for dealerships. You talked about the appraisal process and making sure that you do have those accurate estimates for the service and repairs that may be coming as part of the reconditioning process. But the other side of that coin that often the customer experiences the frustration with is, the dealership missing the vehicle because they undervalue the customer's trade significantly. So now you have somebody that, maybe is considering purchasing a newer vehicle that came in, through the dealership's website, or maybe that car is in service and now the dealer is trying to be conservative, maybe in the estimate compared to what the value is actually worth. So how does a dealer, bridge that side of the coin when it comes to, providing an accurate estimate, but then also, not disturbing or going too aggressive on that conservative estimate?
That's a big problem. That's really an epidemic in the industry. I dealt with this a few hours ago at a dealer in Texas and called me up all frustrated. He goes, how much did you put in this vehicle? Looking at it, our system said it was worth $40,000. It was a 4-year-old Toyota 4Runner. Now those things were worth 35.5 45 days ago, maybe. And now it's up to 40. So we're seeing this, and it's happening. It was happening all day today as we're watching it. It just keeps going up and up and up. And it's going to continue like that until some of these tariffs start getting enforced. And then we'll see, where the chips fall or whatever. It'll be a little chaotic, but we'll figure it out. But so on that particular situation, the car was in last week, but the customer wants to come back in today and do the deal, but they live an hour away. So they said, look, if you don't do this for my trade, I'm not coming back in. Well, guess what? They only took like 4 pictures. They didn't take pictures of the tread depth with the tires, just like you do on a video MPI back in the service department. Right. That's the learning that has to happen. And that's why we built our tool the way we did, so that that on a 2021 Highlander, that the windshield probably is $600 or $700 this week until tariffs hit. But if you go out, if you go up to a 2024, well, that same windshield is going to be like $2,800. Do you have technology that can tell you that quickly? And are people hitting it too high or too low? You want to be like Goldilocks. And sir, what you said is the biggest problem, because who's the best at doing that? But I know you do. It's CarMax. And there's nobody that gets an online value and then comes into their dealership that doesn't get an active appraisal with the acquisition agent to walk around the vehicle with them and go over every minute detail. And my understanding is it's just under $1,000 per car that they end up accounting for on things that might not have been represented accurately. You could say correctly, whatever, but not everybody knows how much those things are or what's good, what's bad. But you give the customer the benefit of the doubt, let them bring their trade in instead of arguing with them about why their car is not worth what it is. In most cases, it's because they're risk averse, because they don't have confidence that when that customer comes in, that somebody's going to walk around just like an MPI, and you're going out with all these one-line repair orders. And it's the same thing when it comes to that, but instead they're missing trade-ins. And that's why the average transaction in the United States in 2024, only 35% of car deals, franchise dealers had a trade attached to the transaction. And that's why what you said is the reason why.
It's really interesting, Brian. And, the other piece in that whole equation you just talked about, which is that understanding and the education about what goes into the appraisal. And I think, both on the service drive side of the equation, there might be apprehension from the service advisor in having a salesperson take on that ownership process of providing that figure, because they want to protect their customer satisfaction and they want to, protect those components. So how do you, we're talking a lot about how it's becoming more important to source vehicles from your service drive, and you have the service history on those vehicles, the maintenance schedule, the technician's going to be doing that MPI and finding those pieces of information. But how do you best position your entire team to be successful in that strategy?
Give me all the interesting, tough questions today. so that's one of the bigger pain points that blows up real quickly, right? And then the service advisors typically say, what's in it for me? What's my spiff, right? And then dealers will start off with 50, or maybe they'll say, well, hell, I'm paying $1,000 a car, $1,500 a car on auction fees and everything at the auction. I'll just pay them $200-300. And they start overpaying the service advisors. And then you can't ever take it away, right? Now they get used to it, and to tell them they're not getting paid on it. The solution is to make sure there's a process change and that there's a champion in the sales department that's the liaison with the service department. And that one person, and there has to be a second stringer in case that person's on vacation or day off, that they are responsible. And they, at 5 o'clock, they are to put on the service director's desk, or whoever the internal advisor, whoever it is, the booker, the shop foreman, somebody, whoever is going to control the route sheet, that's going to say, hey, we acquired these vehicles. Make sure that you don't close these ROs because they're in the customer's name, or there's already an extended warranty claim open on this. And most importantly, you got to make sure you close it on the customer's name with that CP advisor, so the CP advisor gets paid, and the retention and the loyalty goes in, so it doesn't seem like it's a used, because I see this all the time, used car repair order. All of a sudden, they're torpedoing their loyalty index because they're acquiring a bunch of cars, but they're not closing them out in the customer's name, so it looks like they didn't come in every 6 months, and now they're not loyal, so it knocks them out of the what do you call it, the numerator.
That's a great point, Brian, that I didn't even think about in that equation. And those are just little process pieces, Ted, that, we talk about all the time, but it's very interesting to hear Brian's perspective on this.
It is. Brian, you travel the country. You see a lot of scenarios, and having come from retail, you understand them very well. Our three of us have a friend in Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln, and he has a glass office, and written on the glass, I don't know if this is the exact quote, Brian, but he says, remaining calm is a superpower. Okay. And
he's a case study of that.
Oh, is he ever? He's the best at it. And that's really what you have to do in this environment, in retail, with all these things coming at you.
That's what every employee is looking for. And I do see panic driven. It's interesting you say that, because I know you guys travel all over the place, but you can feel it the second you walk into a store. If it's uneasy, if there's anxiety,
yes,
if it's uncertainty, and I heard a quote the other day: leadership is telling people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And it's not always what they want to hear, but you got an obligation and a responsibility to tell them. But I think that the biggest thing that everybody needs, like the stores that I see that are winning really big right now, that are gobbling up market share, and they're saying, this is my opportunity to conquest this brand, because they're not sure what's going on. There's indecision. Their salespeople are trying to get jobs over here, jump ship, or whatever. Now that their leadership is not stable at the moment. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grab share, because you're either giving it or you're taking it. And in those instances, I'm noticing, like my old store, I went over there and spent the last Saturday, with my friends over there. And
really? Okay.
Went to their Saturday morning meeting, telling everybody what's going on. I am spending like half the day there. It was, I was having so much fun because they're having fun and they know exactly what they're going to do. And Wendell said, you're going to tune out the noise, quit worrying about the media. There's plenty of opportunity here within these walls. And they had a huge Saturday, but that's because he's controlling the narrative here. We've got a plan. We've been through the Great Recession. We've been through COVID. We know what to do. It's not something that's new. It's just like if there's a hurricane in Florida, we got a whole standard operating procedure. We got a media plan in place. If something changes, and he's like, these are the models that are going to be affected, but all of these models are not affected. So let's just focus on that and let's sell these for now. And I think that a lot of dealers are apprehensive about sharing those details, but either because maybe they don't know, or they're like, well, nobody cares, or I don't want to freak them out. But by not telling them anything, that freaks them out.
Sarah, Brian Kramer has a quote also. I saw it recently posted, and it says, we will reinvent, simplify, and shake things up in automotive retail. And Brian, that's what you're doing at Cars Commerce.
Yes, and that was to Lisa Goslin, our new chief commercial officer that came in, and that's exactly what she does. She's gonna be very disruptive. She's very exciting to work with, and I would say we're just getting warmed up.
what a dynamic environment we're in. And there are so many dealers that come on here on the roundtable that refer to you and Cars Commerce, because they take advantage of the solutions that you've got, which are world class. If dealers want to reach out, or managers, or I know you field questions all the time. What's the best way to ask questions of Brian Kramer and to find out more about the products and services that Cars Commerce might be able to help them with?
Well, they can always get on carscommerce.inc, INC. You can email me. My email's down at the bottom of the screen, dkramer@cars.com. Message me on LinkedIn, on YouTube under Brian Kramer, or at Brian Kramer, on all the other Linktree, I'm at Brian Kramer. That's got all my social media links. And I just asked if I'm out traveling, it might take me a day or two to get back to everybody, but I will respond. And I actually, I just like both of you, I just love, hanging out with dealers and helping dealers that want to win.
Sarah, Brian Kramer is himself a brand, okay, and helping dealers win.
Absolutely, Ted. And Brian, you always provide such incredible insight, from both the firsthand perspective and then also what you see in the industry as part of Cars Commerce.
Brian, thank you for all you do for the industry, and great to have you a part of the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Oh, thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Everybody, Brian Kramer with Cars Commerce with us today here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
I'm out here today appraising and buying cars from total strangers using just two things, our AccuTrade mobile app and our Bluetooth OBD2 scanner. That's all we need in order to give them a 100% instant offer guaranteed by AccuTrade. So let's tell Maeve what her vehicle is worth and what we're willing to write you a check for.
Let's do it. No way!
Right?
No! I might want my check.
Okay. We can. That's all it takes.
You have money on the line, but this revenue doesn't have to stay on hold. On a typical day, almost half of service customer calls are put on hold for an average of 8 minutes, while another 40% are never answered. Now, answer every call in seconds with Ava, CDK's Artificial Intelligence Virtual Assistant. Available across the CDK Dealership Experience platform. Ava uses conversational responses to book service appointments in real time. If further assistance is needed, Ava passes the call along to your team. Ava can also handle multiple calls simultaneously and respond fluently in over 50 languages, transforming long hold times into efficient and positive customer experiences.
Hi, I am Ava, your virtual scheduling assistant. What type of service does your vehicle need?
I need to schedule an oil change and a tire rotation.
Great! Let's get started with your oil change and tire rotation. Do you want to use one of your existing vehicles? Here are your options. 2022 Ford F-150.
Yes, that's correct.
How would you like to handle transportation while we work on your Ford F-150?
I'll drop it off and wait.
Awesome! We can schedule your appointment for Monday, December 2nd at 3 p.m. Does that work for you?
That date's perfect.
In about 2 minutes, Ava can help customers schedule a service appointment. Customers will feel their time is valued and their vehicle is in good hands, and service advisors will focus on building stronger relationships that yield more revenue. Ava puts an end to the wait and welcomes each caller with efficient, fast service. Every customer, every time. Learn how Ava can transform your fixed operations and more today.
Time is money, and wasting it waiting in line for parts or searching for information, that's a cost you don't need. But there's another way. MicroCat EPC makes every parts search faster, more efficient, and more accurate. It's the parts catalog built from VIN-specific OEM data, so you always get the right part, first time, every time. And it's more than just parts. MicroCat EPC also gives you access to service, repair, and fluid data, all in one place. It's fully integrated with your DMS, so orders are processed instantly. And with automatic OEM updates, you're always working with the latest information and pricing. Why wait in line when you can keep moving? Available anytime, anywhere, on any device. MicroCat EPC keeps you ahead of the game. Work faster, work smarter, because time is money. MicroCat EPC, driven by data and built to keep you ahead.
Get the inside scoop on the Niello Company and Porsche Cars North America with our next segment filmed live at our pop-up.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. We are at Niello Porsche Sacramento with the Niello Company. Ted, we have some special guests from Porsche and, of course, the Niello Company with us on this panel.
It's been an incredible visit, Sarah. The experience, the guest experience here at Niello is second to none, as it should be. Rick Niello is with us. Rick, thank you for having us in.
Well, thank you. Wonderful.
Great appreciate this. And we have a gentleman here, Rick Kramer from Porsche Cars North America. Rick,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
what a beautiful city.
Absolutely state-of-the-art destination Porsche. That's probably our flagship out here in California, and we couldn't be happier than to partner that with Mr. Niello. The perfect choice for everything here in Sacramento, no doubt.
Rick Niello, how did all this come about? Because you've had a long association with Porsche, with your family, with the Niello company. Tell us about that and how this great facility came to be.
Well, we have been involved with Porsche since about 1956. And I think I'm safe in saying that we are the longest running opening a Porsche dealership in North America. So we go back a long time, and we have been with Porsche since day one, and seeing just tremendous development from a wonderful sports car back in the mid-50s to what it is today, which is the finest car really made. And so we are very fortunate. We have 2 locations here in Sacramento, and they're both state-of-the-art. We just got through discussing some of the issues we have to attend on our older store, which is not really that old. But Porsche has high expectations, and we want to make sure that we fulfill everything they want. We are dedicated Porsche dealers. We love the franchise. We have other franchises that are very important to us as well, but Porsche is the pinnacle of success. So we look at this as a great opportunity for us, and Rick's been very helpful in getting us to where we are today.
In Rick Kramer, Porsche customers have the highest of expectations. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. And you'll note in our CSI scoring that we strive to be number 1 in the land annually. And note that is important to us, to that level where there is a lot of vested stake for the dealer to achieve that goal and provide that experience to our customer.
And you didn't really leave anything to chance, okay? In the design and the creation of this facility, there's a lot that has gone into this for us to be even here today.
Absolutely. This is, like I said, we call this our destination Porsche design. This is an update to what Rick has in Rockland, okay, and that will be soon to be updated as well within the next year or two to this same design intent. And this is what you're seeing globally around the world for the brand. It's an experiential center for the customer now.
And also, we couldn't help but notice Fixed Ops Roundtable, the focus on fixed operations, if you'd like to speak to that, because great focus on service and parts and that experience here as well.
Absolutely. And we couldn't say thanks enough to Rick for providing the workshop environment that he does and the expansion that he built into this facility for the years to come as the market continues to grow. People like Tully, the team here at Porsche Sacramento are top-notch, as you probably know and have shared already with the audience, and we couldn't ask for it to be any better for our customers.
With Niello, that workshop is amazing you have back here.
Yeah, we're really proud of the workshop, and we have something unique. We have a viewing window, so every Porsche customer that brings their car in here can see it being worked on. And we try to incorporate that visual opportunity for the customer in all of our stores, some of which we have duplicates of this. The other Porsche store is the same, but it makes it because it's all about the customer. It's all about doing the work properly, and they love watching their car being worked on. So we do think that's very important.
Sarah, talk about transparency. The customer right here, the guest in the showroom, can look right through that window and see the vehicle being worked on. It's completely transparent.
Everything is incredible here at Porsche Sacramento. And I mean, one of the things, Ted, that has really stood out to me has also been the people. And Rick Neilo has created such an incredible team and culture here.
Rick, you want to speak to that? Because, again, that goes back to the core values and everything you've helped instill.
Well, I think I covered the core values earlier. They're up on the wall here. All of our employees carry a card. I should have them stand up and wave your card around, but I'm going to do that. But we obviously have worked on these for years. And as I said earlier, I could be repeating myself, but essentially we're in the people business because anybody can buy a Porsche anywhere they want, or a Volkswagen or an Audi or a BMW. But to make that happen here at this dealership, all of our people have to have a bond and a relationship with our customers. And I think we strive to be the best in that arena, and we're always working on it. And I just thank all of our people that are here in the audience for handling that so well.
Rick, you've got so many great locations, structures, and a commitment to the customer, okay, with this luxury experience, second to none. And combine that with what you just said, the core values at Neilo. You know, we see the guests here absolutely love your people and the experience here.
Well, thank you. There could be no higher compliment than that, and I certainly appreciate that. That is our goal. We all work very hard to maintain a relationship with our customers and our employees. And, you know, it's a constant job, but it's very easy when you love what you're doing.
And it shows.
Thank you.
And Rick Kramer, Porsche is known for blending tradition with cutting-edge technology. How does the brand maintain that balance for the product that you put out?
So you'll see a very unique element to speak to that over there in the classic module, which is a particular asset of the company that we maintain repairs with. We maintain original equipment to, and we put a lot of focus and emphasis in that historic type vehicle market that we've got here in Sacramento as well. So being represented quite well by the Neillos over there.
So Rick, you're building on that heritage, and what's ahead? What's on the horizon? What can you tell us for Porsche Cars North America? What can we look forward to?
So we remain we remain very highly confidential in anything we're doing for product design and future. So I wish I could tell you, but I honestly do not have anything to share publicly, no doubt. Yeah. But there's a lot coming. Be ready. It's coming. Yeah, for sure. Just like the Macan EV that I think you all have probably had time with by now, but yeah, very cool. Sorry about that.
Rick Neilo, it's incredible to see just the experience that both the employees have at the Neilo company and the customers receive. But how do you blend some of the pieces with the strategy to fit the unique tastes and expectations that the customers have with Porsche?
Well, I think that begins with company culture and company training and relationships with your employees. Because if you don't have those three elements, it's really hard for the employee that we have or the employees that we have to maintain a relationship with our customers. And I think we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on maintaining that relationship. And I think our people really do an outstanding job.
All right. Well, Rick Neilo, Rick Kramer, thank you so much for having us in and hosting us, being great hosts. We have a lot coming up here on our visit to the Neilo company in Sacramento. Sarah Vantine and I will be right back.
You might have noticed that Ted and I are on the move, and that's because we are now hosting Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up events. We are on our way to a dealership near you with spontaneous events in amazing dealership spaces to highlight the people in retail service, parts, and dealerships worldwide. Stay up to date where we're headed next by following the Fixed Ops Roundtable on social media.
Lyft Concierge's courtesy ride platform makes it easy to send reliable, affordable rides to the people who matter to your organization, even if they don't have the Lyft app. Here's how it works. To start a new ride, log in on your desktop or mobile device and click Request. Then, fill out your rider's info. You'll see the ride's price and distance up front. Need to message the driver? Add a note here. Send the ride right away, schedule it for later, or send a flexible ride that riders can request on their own. Choose the ride type that fits your rider's needs, such as luxury and extra seat options. And voila, your ride request is on the way. Once a nearby driver accepts the ride, your rider will receive a text message with everything they need to know for a smooth pickup. If your rider doesn't have a mobile phone, they'll receive an automated call to their landline with all the details. From your dashboard, you can track and monitor active and upcoming rides and support your riders. With Lyft Concierge, you can take better care of your people, simplify transportation management, and drive your organization forward. Log in to send a ride with Lyft Concierge.
Take a trip to the dark side of the moon with Waverly Burt from Privacy for Cars.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Today, most dealerships are aware of the variable aspects in reconditioning, in particular, the visible aspects, the paint, the mechanics, the detailing. Yet there is an invisible asset in every trade-in that's happening at your dealership. It's increasingly valuable. And here to talk about that today is Waverly Burt. He's with a company called Privacy for Cars. Waverly, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, thanks for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity and look forward to the discussion today.
You know, when you and I first talked, I knew in the first couple seconds, I understood instantly what you were talking about with this Privacy for Cars. So I want to kind of have you take us through that today, because this is a tremendous opportunity for dealers. So Waverly, if it's okay, let's start at the beginning. What is Privacy for Cars?
Yeah, great question and great place to start, Ted, because most people haven't heard of us, right? So here at Privacy for Cars, we specialize in vehicle data privacy solutions for dealerships, for OEMs and other automotive businesses. And at our company, we really have two main products. The first product is a very simple, easy to understand data disclosure, which explains the information that is found inside of cars, what they collect, and how that information is used. Our second product is a tool that will properly and efficiently remove the driver and passenger personal data from the vehicles. Okay, our solutions they're very valuable for dealerships that handle trade-ins, used cars, service owners, body shops, because it really reduces the potential liability that's related to the personal data that's left inside these vehicles, Ted.
You know, all of us, Waverly, are concerned about privacy. You know, we get a new phone every, few years. And before we go ahead and trade the phone in, we're sure to delete all of our data in there and, the SIM card, and make sure that we send it back without that information. Yet there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here, and it's in the cars that we drive. So talk to us about that. Is this a compliance type thing?
A great question, Ted. So this started off as compliance, but then we quickly realized that privacy is actually something that customers really do want. We consider privacy being a hidden asset in every single trading vehicle that comes to the dealerships. The key to view customer privacy not as a compliance burden, but really as a value-added service that customers actually want and they're willing to pay for it, most importantly. Now, our data deletion solution is simple. You delete the person's data out of the car when they trade it in, and then we give them a certificate of deletion to prove the who, the what, and when of the work. And then you charge a fee for it. Pretty simple. And on top of these new services, you can use use privacy as a marketing differentiator. Our dealerships promote themselves as privacy care dealerships, and they give their customers a reason to shop with their dealership over competitors who don't offer privacy services, Ted.
Waverly, this has been not talked about up until now, but when you think about it, every dealer has dozens of vehicles, hundreds of vehicles coming in and out of the service drive, being purchased, being traded, bought at the auction. This is going on every day, every week, every month. What kind of personal data are you talking about? And, what are you deleting specifically?
So think about everything that makes your car convenient, like your previous call logs, your text messages, your contacts, your home address, your navigation history, right? Garage door codes, password information, biometric data, and so much more, Ted. I mean, having this information plugged into your car makes it incredibly convenient when you're in control of the car. However, it makes for a big security risk when you're not in the car, when you dispose of the vehicle. I mean, nearly your whole life can be in that car, Ted, and everything that's on your phone can be inside your vehicle. And you would never trade, you mentioned a few minutes, you never actually trade in your cell phone without making sure the data was wiped off of it. That would never happen. But cars are even worse because they're not password protected. And that data is not even encrypted. It's just sitting in that car for the next driver to find it. And I'm sure that you've been inside of rental cars, or you've been on a test drive, or you get in the vehicle and you see other people's information in there. It happens every single day. And that's not just a poor customer experience, it's a personal risk. That's why customers are willing to pay to have the data properly wiped when they trade in the car. And they want proof that it's done, but also done properly, Ted. And that's what we're able to provide.
Waverly, you're the first company, first person I've heard talking about this. It's been, as I mentioned earlier, unspoken until now, but you're right. You pick up a loaner vehicle, you go to rent a car, and you could see the previous customer, you could see their contacts, where they've been, the destinations and all that. And you're right, it's not password protected. It's out there in the open. So how is first of all, is this available now? And how are you seeing this offered inside the dealership?
So the short answer is, Ted, yes, it is available now. Dealers can sign up for the services now. We have our dealerships today offer data deletion services at a number of different points.
Okay.
Most commonly, we see it as part of the reconditioning process, right? So when a car comes in, it's a part of the reconditioning fee that's added onto the repair order. It may need new tires, may need new brakes, may need new windshields. Then you'll have a line item on that repair order for the data deletion services. So that's one area. Lease returns, they can be a charge to the auto finance company, since they're the ones that have the relationship and they own the vehicle. That's another way. For loaner vehicles, you can charge a small fee when that vehicle comes back in to those customers that got those loaner vehicles out. In the case of a total loss, you can charge your insurance company to delete the data before the information is for the car is actually scrapped. Or a lot of times, Ted, you may have a vehicle that may be a total loss. However, the radio might be fine. The rest of the car may be damaged. So if the radio can be repurposed, even more of a reason why you want to make sure that information is removed from that radio before it's put into another vehicle.
So the areas you're mentioning here, okay, in the reconditioning process, used vehicles, lease returns, loaner vehicles, vehicles that are written off for a total loss. So there's a different process for doing this. How do dealers position this? In the past, we've seen things like service pickup and delivery, and we've wondered, do dealers charge for it or not? What are you seeing out there?
So it really all depends. It's not a one size fits all. Some dealerships offer this service as a free service because they see privacy services as really a competitive advantage and as a way to boost their own reputation and build trust with their own customers, right? Offering someone a certificate of deletion, it's a tangible way to show your own trustworthiness. So it's not just taking my word for it. Trust me, we did it in the back, behind the curtains type of thing, right? You're showing them your actual brand reputation. And yes, we do have some dealerships that do charge for it. And the reality is most customers are willing to pay a reasonable fee because it's important to them. And the dealerships that are charging, Ted, they're seeing anywhere between a 4 to 10x ROI when they do charge for the service.
Waverly, that car has all the information, okay? It knows everything about me. Like you said, even garage door codes, biometric information. It's now, the car is it's a computer, okay? And like I mentioned, up until now, no one's been talking about this. And, what kind of response are you seeing out there in the marketplace?
We're seeing a great response, Ted, overall. And to your point, I mean, we are the only company in the world that does this.
Okay.
But the response that we've been receiving has been very receptive because most people, Ted, simply don't think about it, right? It's out of sight, it's out of mind with all the other things that dealerships are doing when it comes to reconditioning or just the process from buying a car or trading a vehicle in. There's already a lot of different steps. And this just happens to be one that's often overlooked. In fact, 4 out of 5 cars, Ted, are resold while still containing the information of the previous customer. Is it malicious? No, I don't think it's malicious. It's just one thing, although an important thing that often gets overlooked, Ted. And that's the unfortunate part.
And as a consumer, you're right. Someone out there driving the car next with all my information, that doesn't make me feel comfortable. But you've actually thought this process out. You've got a disclosure to the customer. Is this hard for the dealership to get started and to do?
It's not hard at all, Ted. In fact, anyone at the store can do it. It's not very technical. Our application is very easy to use. We can clear any vehicle in on average of 90 seconds or less, Ted.
So Waverly, what's your outlook on all of this? What's next? Where does this go?
So I'll say 2 things, Ted. One is a short term, and the other is a long term outlook. In the short term, we are facing a tougher economy where every deal counts. Used car prices are going up. There's a lot of mystery right now around the tariffs and how that's going to affect our industry and what's coming. Nobody really knows. We have to kind of wait and see how it all plays out. But we do know that prices will go up and prices will be affected in some way. The other thing we know is that about 70% of buyers have trade-ins, but dealers only get about 1/3 of them. That means that most people are taking their old cars somewhere else. Okay. So here's a simple strategy to increase your trade-in capture rate. Offer personal data deletion services on all potential trade-ins. You can get people in the door by marketing. Bring your vehicle in for a free privacy protection service, and we'll clear all your personal data for free, even if you trade somewhere else, in essence, right? And by making privacy protection a core part of the value proposition, Ted, you create meaningful differentiation that helps capture, retain, and secure more trade-ins for your customers. Long term, I'll say this, vehicle privacy is rapidly growing from a nice to have into more of a must have. Okay. There's a great Wayne Gretzky quote that applies here. And he said that I don't go where the puck is, I go where the puck is going. Right. And customer privacy awareness is growing. So where is the market going? Vehicle privacy is not just a compliance issue. Customers are demanding it. And for the dealerships that have taken the steps to operationalize it and offer these services, it's becoming a genuine competitive advantage for those dealerships. And while I know we have another, event scheduled later this year, Ted, where I'll dive into deeper and how dealerships are using our services as a marketing strategy, to drive more business to the dealership. But for those listening who can't wait till the next session I have with you, Ted, they can contact me at privacysupercars.com/dealers, or they'll find a link to schedule with me there, Ted.
So Waverly, you're not just performing the service, you're informing the customer, providing a certificate. So you're really doing some marketing in here as well. And you're really elevating the if you will, the trade-in or the reconditioning process to a whole new level, because everyone's going to want to make sure that they've got their privacy, got their information removed now when they move into another vehicle.
That's correct, Ted. This is, to your point, it's not just about deleting the data from the cars. It is about bringing the awareness to both the customers, bringing the awareness to the dealerships, right? And creating a complete marketing strategy around how you do that. And that's what we're able to provide. So outside of just deleting the data, it's how do you market what you're doing using third-party validation to prove what you're doing is correct and you're doing it the right way. And then we have a lot of different ways to market that.
And since you've been doing it for a while, it's probably a part of the process where data could be missed, okay? But you make sure that all of this is captured and removed. Do you want to speak to that? Because you're in this business, and I'm sure you've made all the mistakes before, but you want to make sure that everything is wiped clean from that vehicle.
You do want to make sure everything is wiped clean, Ted. And to your point, we've gone through the legwork, if you will. We spent several years building out our proprietary database with all the proper instructions on how to get this, how to do the job effectively. And to put it in perspective, Ted, we've cleared just over 2 million vehicles since we've started. So that's a big number. We're proud of that number and counting every single day.
2 million vehicles. That's a lot, but I think you're really just scratching the surface now with what's coming.
We're barely scratching the surface there with what's coming. Absolutely correct.
And to go back to my earlier question on compliance, there is a compliance feature in this because dealers want to be compliant and you want to make sure that you're moving the data. And for customers who may or may not be thinking about that, you want to inform them that you've gone ahead and done this with their permission, of course, and make that part of the process. So congratulations to you, Waverly, and
thank you, Ted.
Great product, great new service. And all right, tell us again. I know we're coming back in a couple months. We're going to talk about this a little bit more with some retailers who are using this. But if our audience wants to get more information or has questions for you, Waverly, again, how do they reach out?
They can reach me at privacyforcars.com/dealers. I have a link on there. They can use that to schedule a meeting with me, or they can send an email directly to me at waverly@privacy4cars.com. So waverly@privacyforcars.com. And the last thing I'll say, Ted, when we talked about compliance is that, we really check 3 core boxes, right? So it's not just about compliance. But the first thing is that you're protecting your customers' information. We check that box. You're protecting the dealership risk. So we check that box. And last but not least, we also allow you to make revenue if that's what you choose to do, right? And if you think about it, so we're driving revenue, we're driving loyalty, and we're reducing risk. Those are 3 very important boxes for dealerships to look at these days.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, depending on what your product is, you can probably market this and position it and charge or not charge different ways, depending on the product that you sell. And, very, very well thought out, Waverly. So congratulations to you on all the success that you're having with Privacy for Cars.
Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate your time today.
Everybody, for more information, Waverly Burt is available. You can reach out to him by email here at the bottom of the screen. Also, privacyforcars.com/dealers. And it's important and it's growing. And we mentioned part of the reconditioning process, but really part of the overall process of doing business today. So Waverly Burt, everybody, with Privacy for Cars, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted.
We had a customer who had an Audi for about 8 years, and it was their pride and joy. After much consideration, they decided it was time to replace that with the new one. It wasn't until about 2 weeks later when we called her that her plates were in that she realized, oh no, I left all my addresses and all my information in the car. At which point we easily diffused her by letting her know we partner with Privacy for Cars, and her data was gone from that car before it even saw the inside of our service shop.
BG Experience provides a window into today's vehicle systems, including the engine, brake, driveline, and cooling system. You will learn about how each system functions, the challenges they face, and BG Products' preventative maintenance solutions to these challenges. BG Experience is used by automotive trade schools and service centers to educate students, technicians, and service advisors. The ability to see how individual components of complex vehicle systems interact in motion provides a more visceral understanding than older training methods. We partner with over 50,000 shops and service centers around the globe. BG Experience is an essential tool to engage and educate automotive professionals worldwide.
Beam me up, Scotty. Trek back at the Fixed Ops Roundtable All Systems Go event.
Tune up your telescopes with Skaivision on location at Bozard Ford Lincoln.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We're headed down to St. Augustine, Florida, on location with Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln. Ed, welcome. And I understand you've got some guests there today.
I do. I have a few guests here I have Mark Queen here from Skyvision. I have Jack Holcomb here from New Smyrna Chevrolet and New Smyrna Chrysler. I also have one of our technology guys here, Benson. So I have a few people here, and looking forward to our meeting here today.
Well, I had the opportunity to meet Jack a few years back on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Jack, welcome. Good to see you again. And Mark, bring us up to speed on this visit to Bozard.
A great hospitality and great education. I'd say we are learning. I think it's safe to say both Jack and I, definitely myself, a lot about express service in general, and culture more than anything with the results here. I don't think this facility, Bozard, is any secret to anyone in the industry, but possibly often imitated. I haven't seen it duplicated, and there's a lot of reasons we're looking at today, but we're just trying to get Skaivision better as we implement it here. And as Ed's team, I think the first time I heard the phrase air traffic control with the cameras was from these folks. And with a large facility like this, when we're able to put a camera, the main curb cut, and the exit, the main there are a lot of vehicles per day to understand what's happening with. And as we go through that process here and marry that to what Jack's done at his facilities, I'd say Jack is a power user of Skaivision in a big way. So just trying to learn more from these gentlemen.
Ed, bring us up to speed. I know you've had Skaivision now for some time at Bozard Ford Lincoln. Tell us where you are with the technology.
We're typically not a store that dips our toe in with anything. We belly flop into whatever we're going to do. We jump all in. And in this case, because as we brought it in and I needed to have the right people in place to do those things, we only dipped our toe in. But now it's time to belly flop in. It's time to go all in. And Benson's going to help us do that. But we've used it for some offers going through Quick Lane as a service equity mining tool. But I mean, not just Quick Lane, through Lincoln. But there's so much more opportunity it can do for us. And so today's all about turning the volume up and getting out of what we can. We've missed it a little bit. We've kind of had a little bit of the icing, but I never just want the icing. I want the whole cake.
And Benson, Stewart, welcome. Your first time on the roundtable. What's your role at Bozard Ford Lincoln?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This is actually a new role for the dealership. So I am the director of technology here. So I've been brought in to help streamline and innovate the tools we have. Also take us to the next in the future for new tools, as well as streamlining our processes.
Mark, you mentioned the culture there at Bozard. It's different there. You can feel it when you walk in the doors. Is having someone like Benson there to help streamline this process, is that a great advantage that Ed will have moving forward?
Yeah, unbelievable, because he knows how to get each of the systems working in tandem so that it's not too much for the customer, too much for the staff, and knowledge level is way up there. So big plus for us and any other vendor in the ecosystem here.
So one of the things we do here is when we don't understand something, we say that's Chinese to us. Well, we don't understand a lot of elements of technology. It's Chinese to us. Benson speaks Chinese.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. I'm going to go back in time. Mark, I remember you told me a while back that one of the big benefits of Skaivision is that it offers time optimization. And I believe you mentioned our power user there, Jack Holcomb, has had a chance to deliver some examples on how that works. If you don't mind, maybe you and Jack share some of that, if you don't mind.
No, glad to be back. I always laugh with the term power user. I think power user is something you got to be the first to try something and be open to what it shows you, and not have an expectation of there's going to be hurdles in the road and there's going to be things that are unfamiliar. The unique part of this is that you have most of our folks learn visually more than comprehensive. So you send emails, whatever. But if they see videos and they see it happen live, it's easier to fix. And it all comes down to communication. So if you can take the data entry punch, which working towards the integration with Mark and Reynolds and the systems that we use, it lines up perfectly. So I would rather be in at the beginning than become at the end. So Mark and I have had a long history. What I want to be able to do is clearly demonstrate to my people, and we look at cycle times. I'm up here because I want to look at their quick service. So I have this theme that I hang my hat on is minutes matter, and I'm looking for minutes in my quick service. And that's where, for me, and I'm going to give you an example. We were looking at, we know we have a 45 to 50% fail rate on alignments that come through. Closing rate was somewhere around 15 to 20%. It's very efficient. I knew that my tech was good. I knew he was efficient. We've got the best equipment you could buy, air-conditioned shops, the investments made on the capital side. So why are we not executing on the opportunity? And when you walk into a workspace, you're going to see your people just perform better. They act better. They do things different. I do the same thing when I was at their level, so I understand it. But if I want to clearly see what's going on, I need to see a larger batch of data. So what Mark does is we set these times in our cycle times, like everybody has in their DMS, and we create standards. And then we just start working and whittling and chopping minutes off of those cycle times. And then if we see common problems, so the common problem we saw was my quick service is exterior of my main shop.
Right.
It flows better, but my alignment racks are interior of my shop. So we're selling it, it goes through, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at it, we're 30 minutes to do, use a rough number, to do an alignment. And then I'm sitting there going, well, why are we not selling more of these? This should, because the constant complaint from the advisor was it takes too long, my customers want to leave, it's a CSI nightmare. So I said, okay, so we positioned the camera, started looking at it. What I realized was it took us 58 minutes to get from the quick service lift to the alignment rack. So then I'm like, why? So I went and looked at our process and I said, well, what are we doing? And we said, well, we're handing the keys to the, we park the car, we walk into the shop, we have the keys to the foreman, the dispatcher. He then hands it to the tech then walks outside, and you start looking at all, you go, oh my God, like, again, I own it, it's my shop, it's my people, these are my shortcomings. So all we did is we went to the tech and said, hey, here's what we're going to do. When you're done, you're going to drive into the shop. There's 2 alignment lifts there. The only way you're not going to drive in is if those 2 cars on that lift. Okay. Then we identified 3 parking spaces that the alignment rack technician can see from his bay through a glass door that we already have in the shop. Those are identified, and those have an AI camera on them. So if he's working and his 2 are on there, and then there's a car sitting there, he's going to get an alert on his phone and go, hey, by the way, we have another car staged. So I don't need anybody to talk. The system's letting the advisor know you have an alignment waiting, and the 2 that you're working on, so you're either getting behind or your pipeline is getting full. And that typically happens in the morning. So all of a sudden the communication started to get better, the alerts started doing, and then we go from doing 2, 3 a day to, I think last Friday we did 11, right? So not nowhere near the size of what we're sitting in here today. But when you go from 2 to 3 and you go to 11, you're like, well, hey, here we can do 11. So if your fail rate's 40%, 50%, you're doing 50 ROs, a day, then you sit there and you go, there's a lot of opportunity. It wasn't that my people didn't want to do it. It wasn't that my advisors didn't want to sell it. It wasn't that my tech didn't want to do the work. We just couldn't see how we were screwing it up. So, and I don't go in there with it as a ball, as a baseball bat and beat everybody with it. I educate them. I take their opinion and I go, how can we make this better? And where do you see the hole here? And I ask them for their input because they're the ones that have to commit to the process. And then we collaborate through it. We agree to it at the end, and then we come up with a new process. So, but when you can do it visually, we always looked at cycle times, and every report I ever looked at, it said, what cycle time you identified, it gave you minutes, but the minutes didn't tell you what the hell was going on. So now you see the pictures, the managers can get alerts when there's failures and whatever, but so Mark and I, and again, I'm a front of the house guy. So people always say to me, hey, Jack, why don't you run the back of the house like you run the front of the house? I said, we don't have the tools. In the front of the house, it's a who's who of tools. You got every CRM you want, every phone. I mean, there's just, you pick a vendor, there's 10, 15, 20 deep. The back of the house, non-existent. So we were using prehistoric technology, I'd say really until the last 7 to 10 years. And now we got to get this all to come together. I love the idea of a CTO kind of a concept here of how do we, my position, I always tell everybody, no one wants to hear this, is I want to eliminate dashboards. If you're good at one thing, you're probably not going to be good for me. You have to cover multiple areas that I need. And if you're one dimensional, I probably don't have a need for you. So where Mark, though, he's got his tool, he communicates, he trains, it's visual, and he's integrated with my DMS. So for me, now I don't have to go get that data. So he talks about vision, right? I want to go through my shop with the tablet. And I want to open up that car and I want to say, that car's been on the rack for 2.5 hours. What's the status it's in? Is that being used right? Is there any communication that's internal of the ticket that I can communicate, look, and understand without asking a question, where does this car stand? Are we meeting the time threshold that we gave the customer without asking anybody a question? And see the pictures of the videos to tell me when this thing's moved, and let it tell me a story of the journey of that customer's car from start to finish. So that's, and then you tweak small things. Hey, it's in the wrong status. Hey, we haven't sent a text to the customer going, we've exceeded the status time. And I'm not interrupting the efficiency and the operations of my people by asking these questions. So that's, for me, where I'm at in this process. But I would say, when we say power user, I think we're just getting started. I fixed one problem. I've looked at a couple different things. I'm putting more cameras in because I have new problems. So it's like, there's so many facets to this, but it's a lot easier to solve something when you can see a batch of data with keystrokes, with time in a small segment. So you take the cycle times, instead of looking at all of them, I'm only looking at write up. I'm only looking at on the rack. I'm only looking at car wash. Did we do it or not do it? The promise we made to the customer, we said we were going to do it. So those are the things for us, because I want my service department to be transparent, efficient, and obviously profitable. And then if I do those three things in that order, my retention and my sales, I've made life a heck of a lot easier for the front of the house. So that's why I'm doing this. This is why I'm so passionate about, because I can see it. It's I don't have to guess, and my employees don't have to guess. So that would be my, I guess I rambled there for a little bit, but that'd be my little bit of why I like the tool.
Mark, Skaivision is going to find inefficiencies for dealers like Jack and Ed that they don't even know about yet as time goes on.
Yeah, it's more, it's evolved a lot. A lot of dealerships thought they wanted a lot of real-time alerts, and if you don't direct those to the right people at the right time and have it only for either something really egregious that can happen that it has not happened yet, that is still interceptable. The other piece is that we're really seeing it on the pattern side. Someone at a group had taught me a long time ago, the best thing you can do is catch people doing the right thing. And as we go through and see, here is what the exemplary performance, here's how he could do 11 in a day or 20 in 22 minutes each. But these are the stars that have to align in order for that to happen. But how do we make that consistent and duplicable? That's the key. And that's what I think we're trying to hone the system in on, is what does the best look like? What does the worst look like? And what happens when on a consistent basis when each of those occurs, so that we can drive one up and one down.
Ed, those minutes matter. I can't imagine what you're going to be able to do there at Bozard.
Absolutely. The minutes matter. And let me just speak to the audience here for a minute. A lot of times we go out and we sign up with vendors to help us overcome something. And most of the time it's just a vendor. It's not a partnership. Well, we signed up with Mark over a year ago. And here he is in our store saying, hey, I know you guys are using this and I know it's paying for itself, but you can do so much more. And he's in here trying to make us better. And not only just trying to make us better, but he also brings his best dealer in and say, hey, here's what they're doing with it over there. And Jack's doing a great job. He's went from 3 or 4 alignments a day to 11 a day. But what if we did that with 10 things, and we made 10 things that many more, that much more efficient. And the opportunities are endless. But that's a true partnership where he comes in and says, hey, I know I'm paying for myself, but man, you guys got so much more that you can get out of it. That's where the partnership really comes into play.
Jack, I have to ask, is this your first visit to Bozard Ford Lincoln?
Yes, it was. Actually, I was at a meeting we were laughing about. I think their controller went to it. I was in Dayton at a Reynolds meeting, and we were looking at another tool that's of how to read our data. And she made this comment of how many ROs they did a day and how much service they did. And I stopped the meeting. I said, hang on a second. I need you to restate those numbers to me, because and then I realized that's just it's an hour up the road from me. And then once Mark and I had he said he was coming here, we started talking. I'm like, hey, anytime I can get a walk through there to see it, because I always try to expose myself to. Listen, I applaud people that do it better or do it differently and have success with it, and you try to expose yourself to as many of those people as you can.
I mentioned it's like going to Disneyland. You got to give yourself time there, Jack. You can't just come in for an hour or two and see the place. You got to spend time and look at everything going on there. It's really amazing what Ed and his team have done.
100%. 100%.
It's incredible.
Benson, how do you see all this playing out with your new position there at Bozard Ford Lincoln?
Yeah, so it definitely helps to what Marcus mentioned. It's not only about looking at things that are inefficient, but also looking at the benchmarks of things that we are doing well and how can we multiply those and make them exponential. So I think one of the things you said is consistency. I firmly believe in standardization. Once you get standardization, you got everybody marching on the same sheet of music. Then you get scalability, then you get efficiencies. So I think what that does is it brings us gives that visual component to where we can see the things that we're doing well, things that we need to improve on, give us a plan and strategy to go forward.
Mark, this is the best news I've heard all day. You've gone there for a site visit, and it's almost like these gentlemen are, doing cartwheels, telling us what they can and what they will do with Skaivision.
Well, you definitely learn from them. When you look at the top performers, this is what drives our development roadmap. And I say it again and again. It's true that if you take the best of the best in the industry and look at what they're doing to catch lightning in a bottle, and if you can just take a little bit of that and weave it into technology to make things better and easier for the frontline employees and for the customer, it's massive. And there is when I mentioned culture, there's a lot of dealerships that are focused on efficiency, sometimes our product of, hey, let's make it more efficient. Let's see if we can make the bottom line better by having the camera automate some things or illuminate some things. But I think the best stores are those that truly believe that serving the customer is the ultimate driver of financial success. And if we do that, if we take care of the customer the right way, and that's why, like when you look at a facility like this, and no two dealerships are the same, you've got almost 20 acres, and you look at the route when people come in, and we get the air traffic control and get the first look at that vehicle and marry it to all the systems here at Bozard, just the ability to let their valet concierges that greet the customer at wherever, know who it is and greet them by name. If we can add to that culture of personalization that they value, then we're going to bring value not just to Ed and his team, but to the end customer. And that's the goal.
And Mark, I heard Jack say several times that now he's able to see these actual efficiencies taking place. Mark, I think that's a big differentiator that you're offering dealers, to be able to see this.
Yeah, the visual data, and that's why we have built every single screen to have its own webhook, and everything that happens as you break the film down to be transferable to any system, because the visual is worth 1,000 words at times. And what's really happening and how busy we are today or this hour or the next, there are things that we're seeing that every other system that we integrate with says we want that snippet or that clip or that visual woven in. And anywhere we can serve up data to other systems to make things more transparent, to make them faster and easier, for the front lines of the customers. That's the mission.
Ed, I'll come to you to close it out. What do you see as the future for computer AI vision, both there at Bozard and around the country? Because you see a lot of technology and you see a lot of what's coming ahead.
Well, as Mark said, you take the technology and you try to enhance the culture, you try to enhance the experience, and that's when we win. A lot of times we look at technology to replace the human element, and it shouldn't replace, it should enhance. And if you enhance, then you increase efficiency, then maybe you can do more with the same number rather than replace it with technology. So when you tie them together and you look at it to improve what you do, not change what you do, that's when everybody wins.
Mark, what's the best way for our audience to learn more about Skaivision? I was going to say they could take the trip down to Bozard Ford Lincoln, which is always a treat. I don't know if Ed's going to be able to handle all the volume, though he's done a few tours.
We wouldn't want to overrun him, although it is a treat to see this in action and to then look and see in his other systems the number of repair orders that are transacting daily. It's unreal. But the best way is just to get in contact with us and have us do a site visit. We offer a free site visit. It only takes about an hour to look at your flow and what your camera network is and what it sees. And normally there's a couple things that you would want your current cameras to let you know.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Benson, great to meet you. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of you in the future. Congratulations on all that's happening.
Yeah, likewise, Ted. Thanks.
Jack Holcomb, great to see you again. Thank you for all the great information, and look forward to hearing more about your dealerships and the success you're having as well.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Ed Roberts. Mark, go ahead.
No, thank you for having us. Always great to be here.
I know this came in the middle of a busy day for you gentlemen, so I'll let you get back to work. Ed Roberts, thank you for being so gracious with your time and letting us in to speak with you and speak with these gentlemen as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mark Queen, everybody's with Skaivision on the web at skaivision.com. A lot of success stories. This is just the beginning, and they are on a roll getting started. Everybody, Skaivision on location at Bozard Ford Lincoln here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Retailers are evolving as customer perception of time and convenience increasingly drives buyer decisions. A form of artificial intelligence called computer vision analyzes camera footage at hyperspeed to assist in automating retail transactions. Car dealerships are prime candidates for this smart space approach, and one company, Skaivision, is working with the auto industry to reduce customer wait times in sales and service. Processes such as oil changes, check-ins, and appraisals are optimized to offer a better customer experience. As Skaivision continues to deliver new innovations, customers will be able to expect more convenient, faster, and better service. If your dealership is enhanced with Skaivision, you know they're putting a premium on the value of your time. Skaivision, creating a smarter experience.
one, my owner has treated me so well, like one of the family. When it was time for my first oil change, she checked out bgfindashop.com. Over 50,000 dealerships and shops use high-quality BG automotive products like MOA Oil Fortifier to help me run better, longer. When you maintain your car, it'll take care of you too. So visit bgfindashop.com. Their auto experts know which BG products will keep your car happy. Be good to your car with BG. Visit bgfindashop.com.
Light up the night with the BDC Superstar Panel, filmed live at our Neilo pop-up event.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Sean Kingery. We are at the Neilo Company in Sacramento, California. Today we are at the Porsche dealership, and we have an incredible team with us, the BDC team of Neilo. And so, everyone, I'd love to have you go down the line and introduce yourselves.
I am Josh.
I'm Barbara. I'm Joe Clementi with Trevor Connect.
Scott Davis with Bali. Carl Piggenshoe with the Neilo Company.
Amana.
I'm Sean Kingery. So the BDC is obviously near and dear to my heart. Sarah, I'll let you start this actually, because Sarah is the BDC expert on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Everybody knows that. Everybody who knows me, obviously Trevor knows me, that I don't want my service advisors controlling my business. I want to control the flow. So Sarah, I'll let you go ahead and start.
Well, and Carl, I'll come to you first. So let's talk about how the BDC answers 18,000 phone calls a month. How did it grow to this?
So we started out just using X time, and we found that we just weren't efficient at making phone calls. And so we partnered with Volley, and that has really increased the efficiency for our team. In fact, Barbara here, she actually makes about 5,000 calls a month doing next day appointment reminders. And it just really has grown over the past year.
That's incredible. And I'd love to get everybody's going down the line and just talking a little bit about the importance of these phone calls. What are you seeing in the industry with customer preferences when they call into service?
Well, they're looking to get quick service, for us to be able to accompany or, any of their needs they need for the vehicle, loaner vehicles, courtesy rides, or waiting at the dealership, whatever we can do to adhere to the customer's service needs.
I find that in a high-tech, low-touch world, that the fact that Neilo has made it possible for us to be in touch with the customers and give it a more personal experience for them, calling them and reminding them about their appointments instead of having a robot do it. And Volley makes it so easy to be able to trace the history of the appointments and be able to do it very quickly, enabling me to do 200 to 300 calls a day.
And Joe, I would love to get your take on it. What have you been seeing when it comes to answering the phones and customers setting service appointments?
Yeah, I think the whole analogy should be for a BDC is to reduce the friction, right? Which is what all of you do. And that experience is what really matters for the customer. Tully said it really well earlier. The Neilo group has 70+% retention. Retention is intentional, and that's what they do really well.
Scott, there has been a lot of evolution when it comes to BDCs, and with the Neilo Company answering 18,000 phone calls a month, there's a lot of data to consider. What has been really some of the most important pieces that Volley brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, a lot of calls come into the BDC, and with traditional technology, you don't know what the purpose of the call is. So, first of all, what percentage of the calls are appointable, and then break that down by agent and the behavior, so and all those things, and you can really prove it. I do want to, since I get to talk about these guys a bit, these guys do a great job. Technology only helps people do a great job, and when people need service, you know, the BDC is there to help. These guys do so well because they've got a great attitude of helping the customer. I didn't quite answer that question, but I do want to give a shout out to these guys.
Well, I'm going to take that from you because I'm going to lean on Joe here a little bit. And again, as much as I love to talk about how great we are from Wisconsin, Joe, I'm going to lean on you because you're intimately involved in fixing one of our mess ups. We had a store that decided to take over their own BDC. Reluctantly, we did it. And year over year, we're down 1,781 customer pay ROs in 1 year. Guys, translate that to dollars. And obviously, Trevor's back into play. But Joe, if you want to jump in, I mean, if you want to know how to break a toy, we broke our own toy. Jump, go ahead.
Yeah, if you think about how busy an advisor is, right? If you use the analogy, the advisor's driving the hours and the dollars and the revenue for the organization. The last thing you want to do is bind them down with the activities that produce the results.
Correct.
That's the last thing you want to tie them up with. Where the BDC comes in is they're fundamental in building the relationships with the customer to the dealership. How do you make connections and make it frictionless? It's seamless almost. That's really the key. That's how you win.
Correct. If you go back to being short almost 1,800 repair orders in one store, as Tully loves to sell the hours, guys, that's just pure hours. It's pure gross profit that we lost by relying on the advisors to set and control our business. So again, BDCs are the way of the future. We all know that. Sarah and I live in that space.
Well, and Sean, I want to come to Carl because Tully and the team and the BDC team at the Neilo company have some really impressive goals that help them forecast some of the ways that they improve their overall communication, but then also scheduling these appointments. And so, Carl, what is this 40 appointment a day forecast?
Right. So each of my agents has a goal of 40 appointments per day. And Volley helps us track that with their goal setting feature that they have. And so the team knows exactly how they're performing throughout the day. And we have queues set up designed specifically for outbound calls where they can help find those appointments each day.
And Lana, I want to come down the line and ask all of the employees of Neilo this question. What has been your favorite aspect about being a part of the BDC at the Neilo company?
I think just being able to support everybody, help everybody out, and feels really good,
All right.
Well, I think what's awesome about the team is that they're the first point of contact for our customers, and they're helping to build that relationship and maintain that retention that the Neilo company has built.
I especially appreciate the fact that we are supporting the service advisors, the technicians, and overall the profitability of the service department by the staff that Carl has amassed and built. It's a fabulous group that we work with.
It's always great when you have, service managers and service departments reaching out to you, let you know, hey, you guys really are, improving or impacting, how many ROs we're closing out per month, how much service we're really doing, and seeing that you are increasing it and actually, helping or creating new business work.
Scott, I want to come to you with this final question, and then, really just to set the stage again for the future of BDCs. What and how do you see BDCs becoming more and more critical in the customer experience as the industry progresses?
I mean, the stakes are high. All of our employees in the industry are faced with doing more with less resources, more businesses coming through the BDC than ever, and the customer just needs help. So BDCs are going to be all that more important.
Sean, incredible group with us today talking about how they are impacting the communication and the customer experience in the BDCs.
It is, and if anything, this shows you, between inbound, outbound, and where we are in technology of vehicles today, how important BDCs are.
Well, everybody, on behalf of Teddings and the Fixed Ops Roundtable, we are at Neilo Porsche in Sacramento, California. Stay tuned. We have more exciting segments coming up next.
Hi, my name is Rick Daly. Hoist hanger is a patented lift accessory that allows technicians to remove and reinstall today's heavy wheel and tire combinations. With no need to bend down to pick the wheel up off the ground, back strain is eliminated. We have supplied over 25,000 lifts throughout North America with hoist hangers. Hoist hangers are a quality lift accessory. Increase technician efficiency, eliminate back strain from incorrect lifting of today's heavy wheel and tire combinations. Whether you have in-ground lifts or above-ground lifts, we have a size and application to fit the lifts in your shop.
Learn how to turn uncertainty into profit with the Dynatron panel up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. There's never been a better time to be in the retail automotive industry. Our great friends from Dynatron Software are with us. Maureen Martin is here. She'll be moderating this panel on turning uncertainty into profit. Maureen, welcome, and you brought some colleagues.
Oh, we couldn't ask for better partners than you see here on the Dynatron panel today. And honestly, talking about the fact that uncertainty and turning it into profits is the most important thing to be talking about right now. Leaning into fixed operations more than ever is going to be key to profitability and retention. And really, we're going to talk a little bit today about confidence. So I wanted to introduce our panelists today. First, we have with us Mike Weldon. Mike is a veteran industry expert. Had the pleasure of working with him for almost 3 decades, Mike. We go back all the way to when I was at Ford Motor Company. Also with us, we have Cindy Lentz. She is the Corporate Fixed Ops Director for Germain Automotive Partnership. Thank you, Cindy, for being here. We also have Jennifer Swope. Jennifer is the Chief Operating Officer of the Swope family of dealerships. You may recognize her as an Automotive News 40 Under 40. Thank you for being with us, Jennifer. And last but not least, a friend to the Fixed Ops Roundtable is one of my colleagues, Trevor Shannon. Trevor is our Price Smart Product Manager. We're going to be digging into how do we turn uncertainty into profits today. But for the first time on the Fixed Ops Roundtable, you're going to get a chance to see a sneak peek of the new platform that Dynatron has come out with, which is our ROI, our Repair Order Insights. And it's really just going to accent what we're going to talk about today. So when we look at how important it is for our dealership employees, our leaders, our group leaders to really be able to turn this uncertainty into profits, fixed operations is where we need to go. You have heard Les Silver, our executive chairman, often talk about how important it is to have the perfect price. And in order to do that, we know that we need to not only understand our own dealerships, but understand the market. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask a series of questions, and I really appreciate you giving really your retail experience and tying to how do we build that confidence? Because we would all agree right now, our consumers, our guests, our most important part of our dealership families are our customers. And there's not a lot of confidence out there right now. So we know that also is going to have an impact on our team. And it's really the leaders that make that happen. So Mike, I'm going to start with you. When we really look at how do we build confidence, not only for our leaders, but for our dealership team, how important is it for you to have a repair variable pricing strategy that's actually set by the leadership team? And how do you go about doing that?
Well, I think it really starts even before that. I think, and we in this industry look at two things usually, and that's gross and net. But we really don't know how to get there, or at least we think we know how to get there, and that's by driving high prices that sometimes the consumers have a very hard digesting, and then our competition, which is the independents, have keyed off on that. So the first thing we've got to learn is to be competitive in the market, and that's where you have variable pricing, variable labor rates, and with the ultimate goal is selling shop hours. If we can eliminate all the dollar factor, we make money when we sell hours. And so you've got to learn to be competitive where you need to be to drive the traffic into the drive, and then use the appropriate matrices to manage that, and drive the end result. And if you do that, your outcome is going to be exactly what you're intending it to be. It may not necessarily drive your percentages the same direction as we've all been accustomed and trained to, but I think that the thing that you need to really look at is the gross dollars that you want to generate for your department. And that's based on volume in most cases.
And Mike, what kind of tools do you use to be able to set that variable pricing strategy? Because it's important that every one of your service advisors are charging the same price, right? So we don't leave anything on the table, but we also have superior customer retention by not charging over.
Well, I think you need pricing matrices, where you have the repairs in the shop, where you have the expertise, where most independents do not, that you set that up at a different return rate, and versus your competitive marketing and services that you have to be competitive in the market, and you have a separate pricing matrix for that you take away. And the thing you need to do is you don't want to rely on your staff to understand that and try to make the adjustment. So you need to automate it. You need to set it up within your DMS so that it's controlled automatically when that particular service is being sold.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know I've heard all of you speak about the fact that, if we were on the sales side, the variable side, we wouldn't just have a sales consultant sell a vehicle for anything, right? They would adhere to a variable pricing strategy. And so what I hear you saying, Mike, that's just as important to do on our side as well. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that Mike had talked about related to repair variable? Great. Okay. Well, Trevor, I'd love for you, since we have an opportunity, why don't you share just a couple of tools that really kind of complement what Mike just talked about, whether you're an experienced service director or you have a new service manager you're growing from within, to help them in setting that variable pricing strategy.
Absolutely. Thank you. So like Mike said, first thing you need to do is start with your competitive analysis so you know where that pricing structure needs to be. Then we need to look at where are we flagging hours. So we want to look at, the flag times over the course of a set period of time and see where does the dealership actually flag hours. So to do that, we have a repair frequency report that's going to filter down just to repair, taking out all the maintenance, so we can see where the dealership actually flags hours so that we can customize that grid to hit their goals. So we can see here, roughly the dealership flags a lot of hours below 6 hours, and then they get heavy again up in this 10 to 11 hours. So now that we know that information, we can come over and we can actually build out a variable pricing strategy for repair. To do that, it's super easy inside of the software. We would start in the resource center. We have guided tours, so we would want to create a new labor matrix. It will walk our users through the steps to create that labor matrix, show us right where to click. We would create a new labor matrix, tells us a little bit about the labor matrix that we're going to create. It asks us to name it. We'll just do a demo one here. Asks us how many grid hours we would like it for. We'll go up to 20. And then we have the structure of the labor matrix. So we'll start off at 199. We'll start a flat rate at 6 hours, since we saw that's where they were flagging the most amount of hours. We will actually start to come back down in that labor matrix at 10 hours. We'll incline it by $5, decline it by $2, and set all of them to end in 97 cents. The other thing we saw was that 5/10 was used quite a bit. So we'll add some additional revenue there for revenue over 90 days and then also annually. Now I will turn it back over to you, Maureen.
Thank you. One of the things I think about there is right now we have EV, we have some of your dealerships in your portfolio that have heavy truck. The neat thing I see there is that you have the flexibility to do a labor grid for each and every one of them. I know, Mike, you and I have talked about how important that is, particularly like in the California market with EVs. So great job. Thank you so much. All right. So we've talked a little bit about the importance and how do we build confidence in our team with a variable pricing strategy on the repair side. Cindy, let's come to you now. So when we look at also, we need to do similar on the maintenance side of it and how we build that confidence. What are some of the things that you look at Germain, and what kind of data do you look at to help you to understand, are you priced right for maintenance in the market?
So with our VPS, or repair variable pricing strategy, in place, my dealerships can focus on consistency, competitiveness, customer value, and building a maintenance pricing strategy. And when I think about that, I think about 5 main points. One of them being the menu-based pricing, a completely transparent price for common services. Oil change, tire rotation, brake inspections, batteries, etc. And then 2, market benchmarking. Perform market research analysis, calling local competitors, price to stay competitive without undercutting profitability. 3, the OEM guidelines and warranty alignment. I need to ensure that the pricing supports the manufacturer's recommendation and that if needed, I stay warranty compliant. 4, probably bundling promotions. I need to offer service bundles, loyalty incentives, other items to increase my customer retention. And then last but not least, probably, I guess the best word is scalability. Pricing that's easily explained for the different models, the technician levels, and the regional factors, like here in the Midwest versus in the South. But the end goal is to drive customer trust, repeat business, and maintain a margin of profitability.
Absolutely love it. Interesting enough, when you talk about all of those, one of the things we talk about Dynatron is really understanding 2 key areas to help you do the 5 things you just talked about. One I love is around the virtual performance group, which is where you're able to look at like-size franchise in like-size markets, like you said, Midwest, rural versus metro, and really that ability to understand, because if customers are not coming back to us, they're likely not going to another competitive on-make dealership. They're actually going to aftermarket. So I love that you talked about not only how you shape the strategy, but how the data you need to look at is both and as well a franchise as well as your aftermarket. Love that. Anybody have anything they'd like to build on? Because I saw you all shaking your heads. I know there were a lot of good things that Cindy just talked about there.
Well, one thing I like what Cindy said was that you concentrate on generating profit, not percentages, because ultimately that's what we look for in this business anyhow.
Absolutely. And the ability to understand and forecast it, right? So I love that. Fantastic. All right. Well, Trevor, why don't we take a moment and, given some of those 5 strategies that Cindy just gave, maybe kind of show a couple of tools that can help the dealerships and the groups in being able to accomplish some of those strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first places you're going to want to, check out is the virtual performance group, which again is going to compare same franchise in that, same region. So comparing apples to apples, we can see our dealership and all of our metrics, and then we got some benchmarking, so we can see the average. So right away, we see that our ELR is a little bit lower than the average, and to get that to move, we need to move our price up a little bit. And we can see we're above average, but we still have some room to grow. So then inside of the tool, we can also back test that to see what does those changes make for us as far as profitability, like Mike said. So if we come into our dealer analyzer, we could test those situations. So if we wanted to move our alignment price, or we're thinking about moving our alignment price from 144.07 to 154.97, we can put that in and we can then test that by clicking what if. And it will show us, it will do all the calculations based on our historical data, that if we didn't sell any more alignments, we just made that pricing adjustment, which we use that market research in the BPG to see, we could bring in an additional $25,000 a year in gross profit, which is ultimately what we're after. So we would use this tool along with our mystery shop results, which Maureen will cover a little bit more, but just wanted to showcase, 1, how we can see the data, and then 2, how we can back test and do those hypothetical changes for you. I'll turn it back over to you, Maureen.
Thank you, Trevor. Yeah, the mystery shop, I think, is one of the things, regardless of where you are in the country, that is absolutely critical, we feel, to data and to understand business intelligence so that you can then also build confidence. You are looking at daily behavior. You're making sure that their repetition and their structure for them. And when we do a quarterly, we say it should be done quarterly, 5 services, pick the mileage in the vehicle. But really it's about you selecting as a dealer, because let's say all of you have dealerships that are in different markets. You need to know for each individual dealership what aftermarket is impacting them right around their store. And so what I love about that is we work with you as a partner to make sure that you are giving us who are the ones you want to be shopped. But doing that quarterly, we know there are market. I mean, just look what's happened in the last 3 months in our markets, right? We need to understand exactly what's happening to make those decisions. So love it. Thank you. Wonderful, Cindy. Appreciate that. Well, we've talked about the importance of repair variable pricing strategy. We've talked about the importance of maintenance variable pricing strategy. Jennifer, let's talk a little bit about, from a CEO or COO perspective, and looking at all of your dealer groups, you have a lot of service advisors, and we want to make sure that we have predictability. And what is it we should have charged? What did they actually charge? And what is the difference? How do you utilize that information to really coach your service advisors and build their confidence so that they in turn can be confident to their customers?
Yeah, I mean, we can go off of gut to an extent, but we have to go off of data. So just accountability. And really, we've talked about profitability. We've talked about, our customer. But what's so important as a dealer is also developing our people. So when you have the tools to be able to have those conversations, and have those coaching and counseling moments, it could be a seasoned advisor, it could be a brand new advisor, but to be able to have a good constructive conversation around real data as opposed to around, I feel like you're not doing it the way I want you to do it. No, I need to be consistent in my process so that I can take care of our customer in the best way. We need to be consistent in our process so that I can take care of my employees in the best way. So just that development of the person is just as important as everything else we do, and having the tools available to do that in a constructive way.
Very succinct. Thank you, Jennifer. When you really think about it, when a decision is made at the dealership level by a service advisor, often they don't understand. It seems really little, but that little incremental impact has an exponential result, not only on the customer and the company, but often they don't realize what it does for their own paycheck. So when we know their goals and where they want to develop to, we want to make sure that we can give them those kind of tools. And I would say we'd all agree that service directors really carry many hats, and they walk in the door and the life can change in a moment. How do we give them that type of data to really be able to coach their people very effectively? But really, how have you seen all of you trying to help them to take more ownership for a service advisor? Have you found that has really starting to make an impact for them individually, as well as then that obviously levels up to your groups?
Oh, absolutely. Because you can tell somebody something, all day long, but when you show them, and when you have that tool to show them, this is how it affects you. They care about the dealership to an extent, right? They care about their pride in their work. But when you, just like you said, this is how it's going to affect you and your paycheck and your family. And these are the things that you can do to improve your life. It's just a much more powerful conversation than, this is what I need you to do. This is what you could do, and this is how it would affect you.
The win-win-win. I love it always. Cindy and Mike, how about you? Anything you'd like to add there?
I'll go ahead. For new hires, a structured pricing removes guesswork. It allows them to focus on learning the process, build trust with their clients. And then for your experienced staff, it reinforces consistency, it encourages accountability, and it gives them the tools to clearly boost credibility with their clients. And I would just say, it kind of promotes in the end a growth mindset, showing that success will come from our proven system. The advisor would then understand why pricing is structured. They'll see good results. They become more engaged employees. They become more empowered employees. They'll coach others as they become proficient. And it's just kind of a culture of development and continuous improvement with a little bit of organization and help from Dynatron.
I love it. Well, thank you for that, Cindy. But I love what you were saying there, because, you had touched on it, Jennifer, when you said often you think someone who's been with you 20 years and it has always done a good job is really doing great. But when you start to look at the data, it removes the emotion and it starts to help them to see, and they start to level up. And if they're leveling up, it brings up your whole team as well. Mm-hmm. Mike, you have a chance to work. Well, first of all, you are a seasoned fixed ops director yourself. I know of over 25 years, and now you're actually consulting with other dealerships. How have you found that tools like this are helping to build that confidence and being able to really kind of dare to compare? We are, in fact, perception, I think we'd all agree, is that dealerships are more expensive. We can tell you with over 4,000 dealerships, 95% more, you are not. And in addition, you have the facility, you have the tools, you have the technicians, all of the things you invest. Mike, how has that really had an impact for you in consulting?
Well, the biggest thing I see, and Cindy kind of hit it, and she used the word confidence. And a lot of our people lack confidence because we tell them this is the price, this is how you sell, this is what we want you to do, this we want you to sell it, and they don't believe in it, therefore they execute. So it's more people and process, and I think you have to start with the people that you have and develop the people, and then build that rapport and then with the reporting, you can show them based on statistical data. If you're consistent in this, we're very competitive. 2, there's value in what we do, and this is your rate of return. And when people start seeing those type of things and those numbers, they can better understand how it impacts them personally, as well as how it impacts their coworkers, including the techs in the shop and the hours produced.
Absolutely, because that goes to regardless of who a customer meets with on your drive, you want it to be that same consistent expectation that all the pricing is always the same, how they're treated is the same, right? So it really does speak to that. I love it. Thank you. Trevor, let's just share a couple of things. So if you think about this amazing team right here, how many hundreds of service advisors you're working with, what are some tools that we could show that would really help them to do that consistently every single day? Because we know if we do behavioral coaching every day for 5 minutes, that's where you really see an exponential result.
Absolutely. And I think Jennifer hit it, right on the head, is the data to support that coaching. So we've already talked about, we have our pricing established. Now how do we ensure that our service advisors are compliant to that pricing structure we put in place? So inside our software, we actually measure pricing compliance. So we look at repair against the labor matrix. We look at the maintenance against the structured maintenance pricing. And then we show you for each service advisor, are they undercharging? Are they overcharging? We do that for parts and labor. And then we also look at what is the effect on the effective labor rate by price changes. This report is that high-level summary report. We offer an audit detail report as well, which is going to actually break it down by individual service advisors and RO. So we're going to look at each RO that had a price change so we can actually dive in and coach that service advisor. We also have many other reports, service advisor analysis reports, which are going to go far beyond that pricing structure, really just looking at all of the KPIs that we measure a service advisor on. So we give our clients all of the data that they need to properly coach those service advisors. I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate it. The data for us is only as good as it's actionable, right? So you all work with your coaches and using this data to really be able to help develop those good behaviors and also really support one of your most important assets, which are your service and your parts leaders, right? They have a lot on their plate and how we help them to do it. In just our last couple of minutes here, we talk about and we hear often, I have the privilege of being with a lot of dealer associations, industry things, and we really hear more than ever, we have to grow from within. So let's just give a couple of thoughts about what we've talked about today can help you to develop your team from within. And it could be somebody that you're moving into a service advisor role or into a management role. How are some of the things we talked about today? What would be your final thoughts as how that helps you to develop your people from within? Why don't we start with you, Jennifer?
Yeah. So, you talked about putting somebody in a manager role, right? What I love about Dynatron is it's like wraparound services, right? Because you have your performance coach, you have your, all of your data, and that data can be overwhelming. So to have the opportunity to have the coach to walk you through, but now with this new platform, sometimes I always say you don't know what you don't know, right? It shows you everything you need to know, and it gives it at your fingertips, and it makes it so much easier to say, okay, I need to focus on this. Look, this is becoming a problem here. And so, whether it is a seasoned manager, whether it is a new manager, just having those tools and having that ability and that partnership, because it is a partnership. It makes developing people even easier, because it can be a tough job to develop, bringing somebody into that service manager position. There's a lot of data. There are a lot of numbers. It is very data driven, and to have that right there and have the availability to have it at your fingertips and have the support, it's huge.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mike, how about you?
Well, the reason why they have speedometers in cars so you can figure out how fast you're going to go. So
I love that.
and the way I look at it is data is such a free, and that's the core to anything. It's where you start and where you want to get, and then you plot it. Even before technology, I used to call them 10 books, and I plotted every move so that I can effectively communicate with the staff where we stand, where we want to go, and how we're going to get there. And I've used that throughout my entire career, and that you get better buy-in from your staff when they know exactly how the machine is to move.
Thank you, Mike. Cindy, how about you?
I'm going to tell you a story. So, return on investment was taught to me at a very young age. I lived on a family farm, and we had ledger books where we had to enter information and manually calculate our return on investment. My father did an excellent job training me for this job. I can't imagine trying to calculate 20 stores and all the different measurements manually. I have it at my fingertips with Dynatron. I have a coach that I can call at any time and say, gosh, I'm feeling this and I can't find it. Can you help me find it? And even yesterday, I had a 2-minute session in between his sessions where I said, here's my problem. I'm not finding it fast enough. And we teamed and he had the answer just like that. There has never been an easier tool to work with. I love that the managers love attending the coaching sessions. I love that the advisors are getting their own sign-ins and looking at their own data and trying to improve their own data. Really, I'm training those people to become service managers. So, that I just don't know how I would do it without the tool. My father would have loved this.
That is such a great way to say it, right? Is when you really think about it, it's really making it so daily you're building those skill sets, right? And building that confidence. And more than ever right now, I know a lot went into the new ROI about making it so that it was intuitive, that it really helped them in a daily checklist of a new service manager. Frankly, I will tell you, our most senior service managers and fixed ops corporate directors will say, I love it myself. It tells you where to go, what reports to look at, what are things you should think about when you're looking at a variable pricing strategy. There are like 5 different kinds of grids. What one's right for you in your market? It's going to be different for everyone. So Trevor, bravo to the team. They've done a really amazing job. I'm excited for everybody to be able to see it. I just would leave with the thought that, it starts with us, our confidence, our excitement. I could not be more excited to be in the fixed operations business. I was just with a group of dealers in the Texas Auto Dealer Association, and we just talked about all of the metrics. When Boston Consulting got up and talked, we're down in every area but fixed operations. So we know that we're going to have to be that even bigger anchor for profitability and gross profit in our stores. And so our excitement is really, you need us now more than ever for us to work together to make it happen. So we appreciate the opportunity, Ted, as always, to come in. I always find it to be so educational. Could not thank Cindy and Jennifer and Mike and Trevor for joining today, to really talk about some tangible things literally tomorrow you could do that will make a difference in your profitability or fixed operations. So love it. Thank you so much. Ted,
Great
back
work.
over to you.
Maureen and Trevor, congratulations on all the success Dynatron is having. It's a great impact on the entire fixed operations franchise dealer industry. I want to thank again today Mike Weldon, Cindy Lentz, Jennifer Swope for your time today and being with us on the roundtable. And Maureen, great information as always, and thank you for unveiling those visuals for us. And excited to see where this goes next, Maureen.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, the Dynatron software A-list panel here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Every day, repair orders hold the key to profitability, but are they unlocking their full potential? Disconnected data, missed opportunities, a blind spot in performance optimization. Introducing Repair Order Insights, Dynatron's game-changing technology that transforms raw repair order data into actionable intelligence. No more guesswork, no more gaps, just data-driven decisions that put you miles ahead. From service managers to dealer principals, ROI arms every decision maker with the power to drive more profit, make faster decisions, and have total visibility.
It takes everything Dynatron's been giving us to make us smarter and does it faster and does it better. I think what excites me about ROI is that it's going to help us optimize more effectively our parts and labor pricing, and give us viewership of what is fundamentally bringing down our effective labor rates in real time so that we can activate immediately.
Time is precious. And the last thing I want is my service manager sitting in their office, pulling reports, dissecting numbers, when all that can be done for them and on one platform. So I know every dollar, every penny, every tenth of an hour is very valuable in the fixed operations side. And certainly with what's going on in our world and country and pricing and inflations and stuff, it's more important that we capitalize on everything. And the only way that I know to do that is to have the Dynatron partners at our fingertips and have the data. That's the only way.
And now it's your turn. Are you ready to bring the future of repair order insights to dealerships everywhere? Let's go. Let's make an impact.
The Fixed Ops Roundtable Certified program is designed to help preferred dealers and partners with powerful tools, resources, and marketing to achieve even greater success and help grow revenue. Ted Ings and I invite you to learn more today at FixedOpsRoundtableCertified.com.
Learn why speed and simplicity win in service with Ewart Anderson from Velo.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Our great friend and colleague Ewart Anderson is here, head of the Velo family of products and services, making big inroads into franchise dealers and the work they do. Ewart, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks so much, Ted, for having me. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you. Text to Drive, Dealer Logics, that's really coming on strong. You've got an entire suite of products that dealers can use. I guess it's under that umbrella of Service Suite Pro, and excited to hear more about that today from you.
Excellent. Yeah, we're stoked about the opportunity that's presented today to serve the market a bit differently and to enhance some of the things that they expect from their service lane providers and software partners, but then also to bring some new things to the table as well that will drive profitability in the service lane.
I saw you recently at the event we did in Sacramento. Thank you for being a big part of that. And
Sure.
We had a lot of folks on there from retail with us as well. And one of the things that came out was it's really the consumer driving this whole experience shift. And I don't know if you want to get into that, but really the expectation of the consumer goes up and up and up. And that's really where we're headed.
That's right. Yeah, the bottom line for every franchise dealer out there is that franchise dealers who have best in class consumer experiences for their customers are typically much more profitable than those that don't, right? There's a reason why the last 5 to 7 years CSI has been such a focal point. It's not just for the warm and fuzzies. It's because CSI and customer experience and customer retention bring to the table profitability, and profitability at the end of the day benefits the dealer principals, but also benefits the dealer's personnel. Better profitability equals better tools in the service lane, more investment in growth and development, career paths start to expand because dealers are expanding. So consumer experience is top of mind for us, and we've got some interesting and exciting things kind of going on there.
And you're really helping dealers compared to the other experiences outside of automotive that consumers have, whether it comes to shopping, buying groceries, tracking food or an Uber delivery. You're really doing a great job also in taking the friction out of service. Talk to us about that and why speed and keeping it simple is important.
Sure. That's a great segue. And thanks for the compliment too. I didn't miss that. So for us, I'd say the frictionless experience aspect kind of has two sides to that coin. One side is the friction, as you mentioned, to the consumer, right? So between the dealer and the service customer, their ability to understand what's happening with their vehicle at any given moment after they have delivered it for service, or as they make an appointment even before they've delivered it for service, and to understand what's going to happen from there to payment. Having transparency in that process is really key. And Text2Drive has been a market leader at that for years, of creating transparency, creating customer retention and engagement during and after the repair order cycle. And Text2Drive is part of our DealerLogix Service Suite Pro offering, and Text2Drive and DealerLogix are fully integrated in that offering. So we've kind of grabbed the best in market for customer engagement, and their expectations of those experiences, to your comment, really are being compared to Amazon and to online grocery shopping at the local grocery vendor, or ordering a Domino's pizza and being able to see the status of that delivery and that process, or ordering an Uber. They're comparing their experiences to those, and many times they have more of those experiences with those aforementioned Amazons of the world than they do with their dealer. So since they have they buy online 20 times a month, like most of us do, we spend probably too much. They compare the one time a month or one time every 2 or 3 months with the dealer to that very experience. It's a matter of volume comparison. And when they do that, they expect the experience to be similar as it relates to frictionless. They don't have to engage with a person unless there's something they don't understand or need to know more about. And that's where kind of the other side of the coin happens, of the frictionless piece, which should be frictionless for the actual dealer personnel to provide that transparency to the customer. The last thing we want to do is give service lane personnel and team members that are working their butts off 5 more logins, 5 more screens, more technology to deal with. The idea is to give them less of that and more opportunity to engage the customer, and to do so with a little bit of automation, a little bit of AI where possible, a bit of kind of process transparency and best practice where possible. And using our platform allows us to find the frictionless sides of both of those coins, right? And that for us kind of lands us with where we came out with DealerLogix Service Suite Pro. We tried to we're trying actively now to meet that dealer need and to meet that consumer need, and right at the intersection of that relationship, where they're both experiencing the most optimal outcome, profitability and trust and transparency.
Speed and simplicity. I think sometimes those of us in dealership, working in dealership, may not even realize that friction is being caused because we're so used to it. And, things like having too many customers on hold for a long time, not contacting the customer, not updating them. That's really where you really come in. And that's where you excel with a lot of the products.
That's right. It's certainly a focal point for us, for sure, Ted. And I think one good example of that, you kind of hit on it adjacently. You have a customer who schedules an appointment and they need what most shops will call a big job, right? A big repair order, or a big overall transformation done with their vehicle, whether that's a transmission change or an engine seal repair, like something that's really substantial that's not into quick lane, right? The last thing you want is for that customer to schedule an appointment online and they show up and the people who do those jobs that require immense levels of technical talent aren't there. Like having a product that has shop loading and has the ability to allow a dealer to only allow certain appointments to be set up based on the types of jobs they require and the type of talent they require is really important. And I'll be transparent. We're not the only ones to offer that in the market. Like there are a couple of other offerings out there that offer it as well, because it's table stakes. Like dealers demand it, and consumers frankly demand it. The first time a consumer shows up and they're not able to have that appointment flow in the form of effort, money, and time that they expected, they're not coming back. And post-warranty work for a dealer is paramount. The average dealer loses a customer post-warranty expiration at a pretty substantial clip, just based on recent market surveys and valuations. So we need to be able to make sure those customers are showing up at dealers, with the expectations being met or exceeded, not falling short.
This is a massive shift in our industry in just a short period of time where we're headed and where we're going. So tell me more. What do you see customers expecting now? Because you see a lot, because you work with thousands of rooftops all over the country.
Sure. Yeah, I think there are three major areas that all kind of line up to trust creation between a dealer and a consumer. And as I list out the three, let's be honest, there is a stigma out there that consumers have about franchise dealers, that they're going to spend more if they go there versus a independent shop somewhere, that dealers may look to find work to be done on the car. And the reality is most dealers are looking to ensure that the cars are as safe as humanly possible. They're looking to identify opportunities to make sure you and your family make it home, safe and sound. And after they, but nevertheless, like, the reality is they are overcoming stereotypes and stigmas out there. And some of the things, those three things I mentioned that I'll walk through right now, they help them to do that. One of those is real-time updates, being able to get real-time visibility at any given moment on a tracker, for the lack of a better phrase, that allows the dealer, staff, and the customer to be fully aligned about where that car is in the repair order process and what's next. Right? Being able to get instant approvals of the work that's being proposed, the recommended maintenance that's being submitted to the customer for approval, being able to do that virtually through their phones if they're not on site. And vast majority of the times, unless it's a quick lane service, customers are not waiting on their vehicle, right? So they're not there in the waiting room, and you need their approval so you can keep that repair order moving and get them their vehicle, fixed and ready for, road ready, so to speak, as soon as possible. The third thing kind of ties back into the Amazon, example, maybe more than the other two, which is really a seamless, security-centric payment option for virtual payments, allowing the customer, now that they've approved the work's been completed, they can see that in a video format or media of some type, which creates lots of transparency and trust. Now I can submit the payment to the dealer as well as the customer. Like, those three things are paramount, and they not only are really important, but they have to be done very well. And it kind of has to represent the word you started with, which is frictionless. It really needs to be just a very simple, streamlined 1-2 touch experience for the consumer, and similar for the dealer. And if those two personas are having a great experience along the way, more repair orders, more profitability, more retention.
Sure. If I'm a customer, I don't know, without these things, is my car still out on the lot? Is it even in the dealership? Is it up on the lift? And then in terms of the approvals, no tech wants to take a vehicle off the lift, put it back outside, wait for the approval. So you're really bringing this frictionless process, the speed, the real-time update for the customer, and that quick approval process. And the customer can see, their technician, their vehicle, and find out their needs without having to wait. And it's really a whole new world.
That's right. The worst experience for the consumer and the advisor, and by extension the technician, is a scenario where the customer expects something to be done one way and it's being done another, or the outcome is different. The customer is going to be very upset, and the advisor is going to be faced with that customer at some point. Having these streamlined processes and a customer experience centric suite allows us to decrease those types of experiences for the advisors and for the service managers. And the fewer those experiences they have, the better their morale is. Morale typically leads to higher productivity. So while there are some very tangible quantitative impacts to these features and functions and this approach, there's also a qualitative impact too, right? Dealers are struggling to retain top talent, and being able to give advisors, technicians, service managers, parts managers better experiences through technology and through our customer success and performance management teams also, those things combined typically will lead to better employee retention in the dealership, right? You keep your knowledge that you've invested in there. And that's something I think a lot of dealers sometimes overlook until they trick someone they really wish they could retain, right? And then you really feel it. This gets ahead of that.
And it keeps the communication going, right? Not just internally, but with the customer as well. Talk to us a little bit about your platforms and how they're integrated and how they work together. Text to Drive, Dealer Logics, we've seen them for quite a while. And now under Service Suite Pro, how all that comes about and how all that works.
Sure. So I'd say Text to Drive and Dealer Logics, collectively have been around for likely a combined almost 40 years. So from a product and a technology perspective, and then also a market awareness perspective, like we've had some longevity there, which has been great to ride. At the same time, we assessed our current customer and the marketplace need. And we realized that dealers are frankly kind of tired of hearing about bringing products together. They want to see it. So we took the opportunity, particularly after securing and becoming one of GM's most recently added 3 synergy partners. We took the opportunity to integrate and optimize the integration of Text to Drive and Dealer Logics, and to some extension, overall bringing those products together under one seamless unified experience for the dealer and for the customer. So the customer does not experience any differentiation between the 2 touches of those products. They feel like one product, right? And for the dealer, they experience the same. So I'd say from a landscape of coverage perspective, those products basically handle everything from the post purchase, like customer purchases a vehicle, that engagement and handoff between the purchase and variable team to service. Text to Drive is part of what powers that, which is embedded in Dealer Logic Service Suite Pro. And there is this ongoing engagement and touch via SMS or text that makes sure that customer gets back into that dealer, whether it's for their first time service, a recall, a decline service after their first visit, and so on and so forth, and for updates along the way. And behind that scene, more of the dealer interface is centered around Dealer Logics' workflow, from scheduling the appointment through managing the entire check-in and workflow of the repair order process, and each owner taking their piece, being able to have full internal transparency of where a vehicle is in the process at any time. You're arming parts managers to be highly optimal in assigning parts and part bundles to a vehicle's repair order, all the way through accepting the payment and then following up on the experience afterwards. All of that's done in this one platform. So there's a lot of coverage here. Of course, within that process, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention specifically the MPI and the media element. Like in Dealer Logics, we did build that product ultimately and have it continue to enhance that product with a focus on creating transparency between the dealer and the consumer with actual imagery, right? So whether that's stitched together, seamlessly viewed videos, or if it's multiple images with talk track tied to it, whatever media is going to create transparency and trust and make sure that consumers who don't work on vehicles every day are clear about what's wrong and why it's important to get it fixed. That's paramount, not just for dealers, also OEMs request that information, and we work with OEMs at a pretty extensive clip. So being able to provide them that visibility through reporting and helping them see what dealers are creating those trust-centric scenarios with consumers is really important for them.
And it goes back to building trust, but you're doing it now in a modern way with a modern experience, which a customer expects, having paid what they did for the vehicle, they expect no less than this. And really you're setting the bar, for what the customer is going to expect even further and beyond.
That's exactly right. The market is for sure, consumer facing market and franchise dealer market and OEM, as a client as well. Those 3 data points or channels of input are ultimately leading us down our path, right? We want to make it modern, but we don't want to make it overcomplicated. Right. It needs to be simple, right? And there's a fine balance and an art to striking that line between complexity and optimized or efficient.
And you're right, friction, which historically the industry has been known for, that is expensive, all right? But to do this in a new, simple, fast, and efficient way. Okay, we're finding efficiencies and fixed ops that are not only helping our team, but bottom line, the customer's time is the most valuable asset right now. All of our time, right? It's more than the money. It's respecting that valuable time.
That's right. There's with the world and the economy being the way it is, and some of the things that are happening in the world today, particularly in the States, like it's really important, maybe even more now than ever since COVID, that dealers take a strong, hard look at what it costs to have a frictionless experience for consumers and for their team, and then ultimately, by extension, what it costs not to retain a service customer. So retaining a service customer for a dealer is likely one of the most profitable levers that they can pull, and has been for some time. Dealers today have an absorption rate. The average across the industry is roughly 70% absorption rate across service center covering the dealership's profitability. But the good in the dealer base, they're coming in between 90-95%. The ones that have figured it out and are focused on it, the great are coming in at 100+% absorption rate. So there's an opportunity here that we probably haven't seen upcoming and on the horizon maybe since COVID, and from a profitability perspective for service lanes. And that is where the dealer expects a lot of their high margin work and sales to occur. And this being able to focus with technology and with service partners like us to retain those customers leads to the outcome the dealer principals are looking for.
All right, you've put it all together. The company, the parent company, okay, Ewart Anderson, Velo, okay, but these great products, Text to Drive, Dealer Logics, all incorporated into this Service Suite Pro. For dealers who are not using your product yet, for this modern experience, or if they have questions, how do they take the next step, Ewart? Because everyone's looking for efficiencies right now and to get better and to get an edge.
Sure. So they can do two things. One, they can go out to dealerlogics.com and submit a request for a demo. We'd be glad to engage them, or they can reach out to me directly and I will get them in touch with who they need to get in touch with. And I'm sure we'll include my contact information in our follow-up.
All right. Ewart, any last thoughts to leave our audience with? We're about midway through the spring, halfway through May. We still got the balance of the year ahead. Exciting time to be in fixed operations. Everybody's interested in fixed now, Ewart. Everybody, even those who couldn't spell it 6 months ago. This is the place to be. Any other insights for our audience going into the balance of the year that you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I think I close with, I'm personally excited. Velo as an organization, we are very excited about our opportunity to serve dealers, to help them create modern consumer experiences. I would advise any dealer or dealer principal or group executive listening to continue to double down there and retain your customers at all costs on the service side, particularly, and demand, the best in class frictionless experience, from your partners, including us. And we're glad to provide it.
All right. You're a great job to you and the team. Fantastic work at Velo, and look forward to a lot of success in the months and years ahead. So congratulations to you.
Thanks so much, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Everybody, Ewart Anderson, he's Executive Vice President at Velo, some of the big names, Text to Drive, Dealer Logics, big part of fixed operations and the modern consumer experience. Be sure to check it out. They're making a lot of waves in the industry. So Ewart Anderson, everybody, from Velo, here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Excellent. Thanks, Ted.
Dealer Logics makes it easy for customers to schedule service appointments from anywhere. The customer experience is easy and straightforward and embedded in your dealership website. As a customer, I'll click on Schedule Service, provide a few pieces of preferred contact information, and I'm presented with dealer-specific menu options. Based on my selection, I'm presented with a list of dates and times along with an option to choose my advisor and transportation preferences. When I arrive to the dealership, the staff is ready for me, and I'm presented with OEM and dealer-recommended maintenance options, including good, better, best choices where I decide. During the repair process, I can review estimates from anywhere, and the evidence of my vehicle's condition is provided through images and video.
To start it off, rear differential looks good.
I can easily approve or decline any maintenance or repair recommendations and track the status of my service right from my phone or computer. I'm notified when my vehicle is ready, and I can easily review my invoice and pay my bill directly from my device. My multi-point inspection report can be found in my customer portal, and I received a copy via text message or email from my records. DealerLogix allows me to manage service on my vehicle easily from my mobile device. No surprises, no frustration. A simple, transparent way of managing my service needs with my dealer. DealerLogix provides dealers the platform necessary to keep internal and customer communication in front of the car, answering questions before they're asked, real-time transparency, and a blanket of accountability. By providing a communication platform that encompasses customer, advisor, counterperson, and tech, the key people have the information they need to execute with efficiency. Communication is stored and creates a storybook timeline to easily identify success or areas of opportunity. DMS integration ensures a seamless mobile check-in with instant access to opcodes, pricing, and RO generation. Through an alignment software integration, DealerLogix provides evidence-driven alignment specs, so your estimates are verifiable. A customizable MPVI allows for dealer-specific options and the ability to add photos and video to your customer presentation. Service Line Workflow Manager ensures that the right work is getting in when it should, and dispatching becomes a strategic priority. And we didn't forget reporting. DealerLogix's robust reporting portfolio provides the information dealers need to identify performance opportunities in advisors, technicians, and parts, ensuring you're maintaining efficiency and maximizing your hours per RO potential.